This will be a twin flames reading of 2 natal charts. And this will be part one, because part one did go a little bit long. So we'll have part one, part two. And I just want to deal with the Libra in the 12th house because we weren't able to do that yet in part one. So I wanted to do that now. And I'm going to put that probably first. Again, this is Archangel Revelations and Prophecies 444. So we're going through the first part one. This is part one, the chart on the left for the most part. Then we'll do the chart on the right in part two. And then we're gonna do it again. We're gonna go through both of them to make sure, see if they are twin flames or not. It just went a little long. So I'm still trying to explain part one, the chart on the left. And right now we're gonna look at a Libra and the 12th house. And then we're also gonna just overlook everything, do everything, look over it real quick, see if there's anything else I want to touch up in part one, the chart on the left. Then we'll do part two, which will be the chart on the right, and then we'll look over to see if there are twin flames or not, and then we'll conclude. All right, so let me look over this now. This will be Libra in the 12th house. All right, so once again, right now we're looking at the 12th house. You have Libra in the 12th house, nothing else there. You want to find out what that's all about. So once again, the 12th house is called the house of the unconscious, the self-undoing, and imprisonment. So it is considered one of the most dangerous houses of the 12 houses in the zodiac. So it's all about the subconscious mind. So this particular website is saying you have to learn how to change the way you think, or the way you allow your brain to function. And he's saying if you allow it to grow in your subconscious mind, you're going to bring it into reality. So it's very important that you learn how to control the way you think. So this is in this house are located the deeper levels of our mind. So things going on here are things that you prefer not to concentrate on. So it's a lot of going on in your subconscious mind that you may not deal with at all. So in this house is the hidden psychological problems a person has, but they can also use this to work on those. Be honest about it, bring it out, get healing. So anything you're hiding from public view is in this house. So if you don't work on these things going on, they are going to affect you and your reality. So just hiding them away in the 12th house is actually very dangerous. So again, they say somebody in the 12th house might put things in the 12th house, but it's hidden aggression. Like you might really be mad at somebody, don't like things about the person, but so you just put it in the 12th house. You put it in your subconscious mind and leave it there. But unfortunately, it's going to blossom if you don't do anything about it. So they said if you had planets in your 12th house, you would have to understand the meaning of the placements. But in your case, this the chart on the left here, there are no planets in the 12th house. But remember, the 12th house is strongly connected to your past life and karma. And I already, because like I said, I've already been through this chart. It is highly about relationships and things like that. The chart on the left, which you'll be learning about as you hear us go into it. So that's saying that the 12th house is an open gate to your past lives. And they're kind of encouraging you to meditate, pray, and live a monastic life. You can send through this gate energy to your other incarnations. And that's something I never really knew. They're saying you could actually go in your mind, because I hear about people astral planning and stuff, but they're saying you can actually go in your mind and deal with your other incarnations. So we're going to try to see what this word monastic means. They're living like a monk or a monastery. So once again, they say for people to live a hermetic life. So you can be a prisoner, you can live in a monastery, you can be a monk, or you might just live a lonely life. So the 12th house rules your dreams, especially through planet Neptune, and we do talk about this in this video. You know, from the dreams, sleeping patterns, and the time you sleep. So he's saying that psychology is really about the 12th house and all its mysteries. So he goes on to talk about psychic, phenomenal, clairvoyance, a lot of paranormal activities. So the 8th house is ruling his conscious descent into the outer realms. The 12th house is more about his unconscious abilities. So they say that these unconscious abilities may remain untamed unless he digs deep into his soul. And again, the 12th house is about self-sacrifice, suffering, but also secret things, and he says secret charity. So he says secrets, skeletons in the closet, things under the rug. This is all going on in the 12th house. He said also behind the scene activities, illegal jobs, illegal affairs, and confidential documents are also category falling under the influence of this house. Also, secrets that can be uncovered are in this 12th house. And this could be within yourself or the collective unconscious. Because when you get to the 12th house, it is about the collective Christ consciousness, working with the people. Like I said, it deals with past lives, very karmic. And this is supposed to be the house of service, the 12th house, where you're helping other people. But you don't allow them to overwork you or burn you out, but you are supposed to be helping others. Here is also the house of hidden enemies. Now, the 12th house also governs large animals. The 6th house governs small animals. And in the 6th house is small animals, but they say small domestic animals. But I'll just say small animals. They don't necessarily have to be inside your house. They don't have to be domesticated. So in the 12th house, you might be very careful to stay away from any type of substance or alcohol. He says the 12th house can also tell you things about a baby that was born, the prenatal conditions. And the 12th house deals with any buildings, whether they be religious or not. Could be prisons, hospitals. But the 12th house is a house of isolation, even if it's isolation just inside of your mind. He's saying that depending on what transits are going on, you might be better off to self-imprison yourself. Because he said if you don't self-imprison yourself, then the universe might put you in a prison. So the 12 houses of astrology are representing the 12 parts of human life. So the 12th house represents all that is hidden and unconscious or subconscious. It is also the indication of our karma, our suffering, our limitations. So they're saying somebody in the this person saying Libra in the 12th house may have to struggle with that because they may actually be single and they kind of want to, they secretly want a relationship, but they're not willing to put the work in, or they don't really have the ability to go through all the necessary things to be in a relationship with a person. So this person is using a word I don't like to use, so I'm just going to use the word evil. But he said the 12th house is where you most likely will encounter your personal evils. So the 12th house is karmic and describes the state of your subconscious mind, as well as your dreams and your unconscious motivation for behaving the way you do. So you can use the 12th house to find out why you often engage in self-defeating patterns. So Libra in the 12th house is attracted to someone who is somewhat unusual, and the person probably isn't actually good for you, but you're attracted to the person anyway. So they say Libra might get into a relationship that doesn't really is not really good for them, but then they start compromising and try to make it work. So then you'll have a person with Libra in the 12th really sacrificing for this relationship that ain't still it's still not going to work. And they'll stay in a relationship although they're unhappy. Now they're saying that the 12th house can turn your life into a prison. Somebody is saying if you have the 12th house in Libra, either you're going to lie to somebody or somebody's going to lie to you. All right, so that was Libra and 12th house. But again, because I've already been on his over on his chart. So again, remember this is past life karma, and you do see a lot in this chart. The chart on the left. All right, so you're gonna hear me explain things about this chart. Because remember, the people that put this chart together, like I said, who assigned all the numbers and all this stuff, they definitely did a lot of around the 10th and 11th house. They definitely left a lot of very interesting information. Even when you look at this chart to the right, if you see how they got the placements, they have the placements of Pluto, Uranus retrograde, Pluto retrograde, Mars, Venus. It's almost like artistically put in place. So you see a little bit of this on her chart, especially through numerology and things like that. And I was talking about it as well. So that will conclude. This will conclude part one. I will be back with part two. We'll be looking specifically at the chart on the right and talking about it as well. Then when we're finished looking at it, we're gonna look at both charts, especially, and see if they're twin flames or not. All right, so this is part one. Try to return, so as you can see part two as well. Through Archangel Revelations and Prophecies 444. I am Gad, your host. Now this will be a twin flames natal chart analysis. The female is on the right, on the left. The male is on the right. Now, when you look at his chart, you see a lot of he got that Pluto retrograde. going straight up to like Jupiter, almost like the medium Coeli. Then it's going over here to Mars, the anaretic degree, 29 degrees. You got Uranus retrograde. So if you notice, a lot of these charts, it's always about love. And you can see the power of love, whether favorable or extreme in these charts. So it will be interesting, I can already tell. And you see a lot of retrograde planets, which is implying that these are people that have lived many past lives. All right. So again, this is Archangel Revelations and Prophecies 444. I'm Gat, your host. Tell people to take notes. You're about to get hit with a whole lot of information. Also, people to order these natal chart readings, birth natal chart readings, they get the free astrological report. It fully explains everything. Because as you already see, you see a lot of Scorpio. So we're gonna explain something real quick, but to get a more in-depth understanding of Scorpio, it is a lot to deal with when you're dealing with Scorpio. And Scorpio rules the 8th house of the zodiac. So I'm gonna pull this up because both of them look like they have a lot of Scorpio. So we're gonna do that first. Give me a moment. Also, a lot of people have psychic gifts like clairvoyance, clairsentience. So there'll be a free video as well telling you about the This is for the people that ordered this, and it's on the free report they're going to get. It covers astrology as well as your extrasensory perceptive gifts. Now that'll show you what these gifts are and how to use them. Because most people, especially them, because you can already see it, there's a lot of power in these two natal charts and these two people. So once again, remember your 8th house is ruled by Scorpio. Scorpio is ruled by Pluto. Therefore, Scorpio and Pluto rule your 8th house. This concerns reincarnation, rebirth, twin flames, sexuality, intimacy, deeply committed relationships, inheritances, passions, crisis, transformation, death, but also debt when you're owing somebody something. Rebirth, wills, inheritances, change of self, change of ways, financial investments, IRS, debt, taxes, the occult, psychic abilities, magic, metaphysics, jointly held things. I'm going to say that again. Jointly held things or shared resources, inheritances, shadows of the psyche, emotional intensity, obsession, stalking, codependencies, transformation, intuition, joint finances, death, healing, esoteric information. So let me just start right here real quick, because somebody might say, well, the reason why I'm getting these readings because we've been together and so it's very intense or whatever, but there's a lot of arguing and stuff like that. See, that comes along with being Scorpio and Pluto. And remember, they rule the 8th house as well, but also wherever they are on your chart. So that comes with it, but you have to learn how to deal with these extreme emotions, and you're going to hear more about obsessions and stalking and power struggles and highly emotional and watery. Now, I'm letting you know right now, if you have any Cancer around any of your Scorpio or 8th house or Pluto, you have to be very careful of evil spirits. Scorpio can be very psychic. You can't lie to a Scorpio. They will know. That's the biggest mistake you can make. And they don't forget, and they can be very vindictive, and they're very strategic. Like a Scorpio can know you did something and you don't think they know, but they know, and they're already planning on how to get you back. And when they hit you, it's already there. Now, when I say Scorpio, I want you to understand. Let's say a person says, I'm not a Scorpio. Scorpio is just in my whatever house. Well, in that house, you are a Scorpio. So if Scorpio is in your whatever house, 6 house, whatever house, it's still your Scorpio. You got Scorpio energy in that house. So the truth of the matter is, everybody's got some Scorpio going on in their natal chart. Depending on where Scorpio is on your natal chart, it also deals with scandal and things of that nature. Like I said, Scorpio is a lot like Lilith. Lilith. So now you're gonna have hidden mysteries with Scorpio or Pluto, intense emotional wells, the secrets of the soul that unfold over a lifetime. So it's always gonna be some type of mystery, some type of unfolding, some type of revelation. Now again, somebody will say, well, if we have that type of natal chart, is it always gonna be arguing and stuff like that? And I'm always gonna say what I always say: anybody can train themselves, but some people love the shit. Like some people love the drama and all kind of crazy shit. Everybody's different, so it kind of is gonna depend on what they want. Whereas some people may get tired of the drama and arguing and the power struggles and and the stalking and suspicions, and some people may get tired of it. Some people might put up with it. Some people might not be able to live without it. I know there's certain tribal people, clans or whatever, that like women, if you're not really aggressive towards them, they'll feel unloved. Like you couldn't be a nice guy in that, and like and these are like the traveling people. I'm not gonna say their name because people get offended. But these are the traveling people, and they're known for traveling and stuff like that. And they're also somewhat magical people. But that's like you couldn't be a member with a wife if you didn't get aggressive because she would feel unloved and stuff. So everybody has their own what makes them tick and what doesn't make them tick, and that's what it boils down to. So the eighth house can deal with fear, but one of the biggest fears in the eighth house is the change. Something comes to an end, something transforms or changes, and that's why number 13 in the tarot card is the death card. That's Scorpio energy, and then number 20 of the tarot card is the judgment card. That's Pluto. So once again, compulsive behavior, obsessions, primal entanglements. A lot of stuff from the eighth house or Scorpio or Pluto or issues that you're at the mercy of. Faded events, hard to resolve. And that goes back to what I said when somebody said, well, is there anything we can do to stop the obsessions, the compulsions, the stalking? All this is in the eighth house, the arguments, the power struggles. The eighth house is also about shared resources and merging. The eighth house is not about solo or none of that. So if you are in a twin flame situation and you guys are separated, you don't talk, you don't like each other, it's still going to be information in the eighth house about you too. And like I said, it's highly sexual. So one, share resources and merging. Finances, shared resources, other people's finances. inheritances, possessions, money. Now, on your natal chart, 2 planets teach you a lot of lessons, Saturn and Pluto. So when you're dealing with Scorpio and the 8th house, you're dealing with Pluto, Plutonian lessons. And what happens with a Plutonian lesson, they defy explanation why it's happening. They teach you that it's a mystery to be lived and accepted, but not fully understood. If you go, why did this get taken so soon or whatever? You could check to see if there's a Pluto retrograde in that area, because that would be the answer. You're not going to get any other answer other than that, unless you know how to really dig deep, and it might even be a regular Pluto. But yet, definitely when you see a Pluto retrograde on your chart, something significant is being taken away quickly. So the 8th house is soul level change. But I'm going to say it again. Anywhere where you see Scorpio or Pluto on your chart, that definitely has to do with your soul. So a lot of stuff that deals with the unconscious deals with the 8th house. But you can say the same thing about the 12th house. You're dealing with subconscious, unconscious. 12th house and 8th house are a lot alike. And remember, the 12th house is ruled by Pisces and Neptune. So wherever you see Pisces and Neptune, you're still going to be dealing with 12th house stuff that we'll talk more about as we get into this natal chart, these natal charts. So in the 8th house, like I said, with counseling or whatever, you have to get to the bottom of control issues and things like that. And it does have to do with, because they're saying facing fears and stuff like that. But I'm always going to say it also has to do with maturity, where you just start to realize this got to stop. So that's the first step. And like I said, they both got to want it. Because even if only one of them wants it, you can stop arguing. And I know it can be hard, but you can stop if you wanted to. So the healing in the 8th house, or the healing with Scorpio or Pluto, is you start to dig deep to find out what is causing this intensity. They call it like a personal demon. And they say you have to be liberated from it. And again, well, I always say, like out here, especially, it's so much information even online, like on YouTube, stuff like that. But there's so much information online because, like I said, when people, let's just say you have a certain music, you like a certain group or whatever, and let's just say you live close to a city or you're in a city or whatever. Now you probably would know how to jump online or whatever. But the point being made, if you really want to get to that concert, I bet you get there. So it's the same thing with anything else. Anything you really want to look into or whatever, there's going to be somebody, sometime, somewhere to look into. And that's why I say, with all of this stuff, I don't care. I don't care how many lifetimes a person lives. The bottom line is, if you really want to see some type of change or whatever, or at least address it, it can be done. Doesn't always mean you can be successful, because a person might really want to stop all the Scorpio stuff and Pluto stuff, and they may really want it, but the partner doesn't. So it's still going to happen one way or the other. But as long as one person really wants it, they can start to make some type of movement. Because that's what I try to tell people, especially twin flamers, because a lot of people are always waiting on the other person. Well, when they do this, then I'll do that. Well, I don't. Why would I change? They're gonna keep on. So you're gonna always blame somebody else. So what I try to tell people is, your life changes when you want it to change, and don't ever blame somebody else for something you're failing to do. Because otherwise, it's never gonna change. And I'm gonna say it again. This is not bubblegum astrology. You're here for a reason. That's why you have a natal chart, whether you choose to get it read or not. And I mean read correctly, not bubblegum, not taking shortcuts, because that's not really in your natal chart. So if you really want it, that's the first start. So remember, the 8th house is definitely associated with the occult. But let's say that again, Scorpio and Pluto are also both associated with the occult. And that just means hidden. What's hidden? Like hidden knowledge, hidden science, alternative science, metaphysics. So you're going to learn about dark psychology in the 8th house, crime, bad karma, dirty tricks, revenge, jealousy, control issues. This is all Scorpio's forte, but it's also Lilith's forte as well. So it's the house of the shadow power and the transformation of that rich complexity in the bedrock of your character. Remember, Mars used to rule Scorpio, but now Mars rules Aries. But there's still a connection. Whenever a planet used to rule anything, there's still going to be a connection there. And on a lot of natal charts, you can still see it. So now this is some more. The 8th house also contains, some of this you've already heard me say, I'm going to say it again. Secrets, sexual matters, mysteries, doubt, accusations, suspicions. One thing about a Scorpio, they don't trust. They don't trust. They have serious trust issues. And you have to kind of like prove yourself to them. And then once you prove yourself to them, then they'll become more calmer around you, less suspicious. But still, like I said, that's the worst mistake you can make. Because first of all, a Scorpio is going to know anyway. So the worst mistake you can make with a Scorpio is lie. Because then that trust is destroyed. And it's going to take a long time, if ever, to get that back. And I'm going to say it again, like they're very vindictive. So it's coming no matter how you think it's coming. And whether you ever find out or not, they don't care. They really don't care whether you find out or not. Like when they get you back, they just gonna get you back. You don't have to necessarily know. And like that's just one of them things when they say something and you don't really catch it, but they just told you, and it's real slick. Like when Eddie Murphy had that joke when they go to the island, you do something to hurt their feelings or something, and they just act like you think you the man in the house or something, and you do something to hurt their feelings, but then they go down to the island or something and get payback. And so whatever they did on the island, you'll never find out. But they'll say little stuff like, yeah, I had a real good time at the island or something. They'll say stuff like that. So you think they're saying I had a real good time at the island. But what they're really telling you is I was fucking some other nigga. So it is what it is. Supernatural psychic abilities, internal plotting, internal indignation. See, they're very internal people. Like they want to know your business, but they won't tell you theirs. And they're real good. But Scorpio is the best zodiac sign out of the 12 is Scorpio for healing. For healing. They can heal other people. They got healing. Their body will get healed. They heal like it's a very supernatural zodiac sign is Scorpio. And very powerful. Pluto too. Very powerful planet. So with Scorpio dealing with conspiracy, vengeance, revenge, anxiety, esoteric knowledge, forbidden knowledge, hidden knowledge, obsession, addictions, compulsion, power struggles, power manipulations, abuse, greed, lust, compulsive behavior, codependency, stalking, jealousy, intense watery emotions, arguments, debates, tauntings, revenge, fear, intensity, psychic abilities, great transformations, high sexuality, even like animalistic sexual acts and stuff like that. I mean, not necessarily with animals, but it's humans, but they still doing like animalistic stuff. Doubt, suspicions, legal matters, court, lawsuits, inheritances, law breaking, shared resources, crime and punishment, finances, business, other people's money, the soul, reincarnation, afterlife, birth, death, resurrection, rebirth. Even like banking is in here. Anything with karma, infinity, and a lot of people that are agents. Whether you're an agent for a band, put that type of agency here as well, or even a manager type agent and stuff like that. Regeneration, rejuvenation, freaky down and dirty behavior, psychological situations, studies, research, knowledge, forbidden knowledge, hidden knowledge, investigations, investigators, managers. Agents, addictions, drugs, alcoholism, other worlds, other dimensions, creepy crawlies, science, higher sciences, holistic healing, healings, spiritual healings, alternative medicine, technology, internet, long distance, advanced technology, alchemy, metaphysics, sacred geometry, things that are forbidden or taboo, astrology, knowledge, hidden knowledge, aliens, higher life, deceived persons, astral planning, telekinesis, telepathy, dreams, interpretations, animals, enemies, Halloween, the divine womb, the underworld, deities, tarot cards, higher thoughts, inheritances, loans, bankings, animals, pregnancy, woman's body, finance. So that's your eighth house, but again, ruled by Pluto, so it's also Pluto and Scorpio. And so that is your rising sign, first house. So when you got Pluto and Scorpio, great power, great psychic abilities, and everything I basically just said. And it's also your rising sign. Your ascendant is your rising sign. Juno at 16 degrees. Now remember, this is going to be an explosive person because the first house is ruled by Aries. And then her Juno even has the Mars energy. Your Juno with that little asterisk, and that Juno means you'll find yourself in a serious relationship with either a Scorpio or Aries. Now just give me a moment. I'm just double checking everything. So that's when you hear like a woman will tell you, I need a strong man. I can't just have anybody. In that case, it's 100% correct because that personality is going to be very strong, very explosive. So 11 degrees is either Leo energy, the strength card, or Libra energy, the justice card. Now, in a tarot card, major arcana, it goes from 0 to 21. So on your natal chart, when you see a degree, now remember, see it's 11 degrees and 20 minutes. That's your AC, your ascendant, or your rising sign. That's where the sun went over the horizon when you were born. Your EP is the east point. That's where the sun went over the ecliptic when you were born. So your ascendant or rising sign is 11 degrees, 20 minutes. So those degrees are the major arcana. Anything from 0 degree to 21 degrees are the major arcana. The 22 degree is basically like the twin flame number. It can also be like the angelic number, number 4. 1111 is 22 is 4. That's also the angelic number. So we need to know if that's Libra energy or Leo energy, your 11 degrees. Well, because the next number is, oh, that's deep. So that's 26. So it's 11 degrees 26. It's not 20. It's 11 degrees 26. But see, 26 is like anything that's God is that number. Like you might have a friend quoting scripture, or you might have like people talking about like the ancient knowledge, like Egyptian knowledge or anything. But that's what 26 would be. So that might be associated with your personality is too. So when you have Pluto and Scorpio, see now you get into Bobby Hemmett. I don't know if you listen to Bobby Hemmett or not, but your Pluto and Scorpio is that 15 degrees is a devil card. So now you're talking about melanin. And even at number 22 is considered the number of the people of God. That's like melanin. That's why I said in your 8th house you go deeper knowledge, not the matrix knowledge, but the deeper knowledge, the real knowledge, the hidden knowledge. So you can go to myastrologybook.com right now and they'll tell you that Pluto is the planet of the black people. So these are astrologers that say that. And then the astrologers that say that, these are expert astrologers. And they're not black people. So it's not just black people trying to say, oh no, it's actually people who study astrology and they know that. Now the reason why I'm telling you all that because you got Pluto, you got Scorpio, and then you got 15 degrees, which is the devil card. So this is melanin and the real people of God. Just like if you go to Revelation chapter 9, it tells you about the bottomless pit. That will be the 8th house of the zodiac. And if you notice, they even tell you Scorpio is there. It's the scorpion. The king is like a scorpion. Stings like a scorpion. They're talking about the 8th house ruled by Scorpio. So now, in both your ascendant and Pluto, you got 20 minutes. And again, that's still a judgment card, which is Pluto energy. And that's all about death and even rebirth. Pretty much more about rebirth, but still they're coming out of coffins, so it still is death and rebirth. So you may experience a lot of like things that seem dead in your and then come back, and these could be people breaking up and making up. So now your Juno, serious relationship, but again, it's 16 degrees, and that is the Mars card, tarot card. It's the Tower card. Now the Tower card is again about things coming down, but pretty much almost anything in your first house that goes down is coming back up. And if you know the prophecy, the Bible prophecies of God's real people, they go down, but they come back up. And that's why a lot of people are telling you now is the time. Like even this is 2020, so that's your 22 again. Now your East Point is 23. Now, and it's 5. Look at that. See, now when you're 23 degrees, 2 plus 3 is 5, and that's 555. Now 555, even if you go to William Tapley's channel on YouTube, 30 Good Books, he'll tell you that 555 is the number of Mother Mary. But if you understand higher knowledge, Mother Mary is just Isis, and that would be the black goddess of Egypt. Now, because if you knew your history, you would know that those people were overthrown, and then once whoever Europeans overthrew them, they just took all the knowledge and flipped it and made it in such a way that they stay in control. And all you got to do right now is go to a YouTube search engine, Yahoo search engine rather, and you can see both popes bowing down to the Black Madonna. And you could also see Pope John Paul kissing the Black Madonna and stuff like that. So these people know this higher knowledge. So it's not like I'm just making this stuff up. And that's why I always tell people, look it up, take notes and look it up. Because I don't argue with people. I don't do that silly stuff. I don't do none of that. If something's factual, it is what it is. So I'm not gonna sit there and argue about something that I know to be true. That's just stupid. So number 23 is, so that's the 555, but also number 23 is like a very a person that speaks quite well, but they can flip on you. But you're gonna see that anyway, because you got all that Scorpio and that Mars energy and Aries. So that person can just flip. So that's what 23. 23 is kind of like that. And then there you have it is Lilith, and your Lilith is retrograde at 28. And 28 is always like an extreme degree. So now I have a list of degrees as well. So I want to pull that up. All right, now just give me a moment, because this is a long list of degrees in astrology. And you want 23 degrees Scorpio, and then you want 28 degrees Scorpio. So 28 degrees says a rabbit metamorphoses into a nature spirit. So metamorphosis, change. And again, nature means natural, whatever, spirit. So that's what knowledge does. Because like I said, when you start to wake up, you can't stay, you just start breaking out the matrix. The more you start to wake up and the more you start to see how this matrix is really put together, you're not going to be the same. So that's the metamorphosis. Because remember, it's death and rebirth. And that's why people that know scripture know that when they talk about the resurrection, that's what they really talking about when these people wake back up. (23 to 24 degrees) after having heard an inspired individual deliver his sermon on the mount, the crowds are returning home. And again, that's correct. They wake up. And remember, if you even know the mount is heavenly Mount Zion. So that's scriptural too. That's like a scriptural prophecy. And when they do return, because now they're no longer going to be in the matrix. They're going back to the greatness that they were. So that's all true. Now let's look at 28 degrees Scorpio. They say the king approaching his domain. Again, and that's what scripture says. The king comes back. He raises the people with his voices or whatever. Another 28, and then check this out. 28 degrees Scorpio and Indian. Because those are the real Indians. The real Native Americans was those people. Even right now, just go look at Pope Benedict's coat of arms. I'm going right to a search engine right now. Say Pope Benedict. Pope Benedict's coat of arms. So on it, you see a person of color wearing a crown. So why would a colored person wearing a crown be on Pope Benedict's coat of arms? And then he's got a bear, the same color as the person with the crown on. So these people know it. They know the prophecy. They know what's about to happen. They know all that. And it's in scripture too. So just like the Grox 1 teaches, it's a secret society secret or mystery. But that's why when the Bible talks about the hidden manna and the hidden, he's talking about these people. And they're about to wake up. Because like I said, you see two popes bowing down to a black Madonna. And then you go to the Pope Benedict's coat of arms and you see a black person with a crown on their head. I mean, how, you know what I'm saying? Who can make that stuff up? Like, it's just silly to think it's not true. So it's all on your chart, which means, and what you have to understand, it's more waking up. And somebody might say, well, this is supposed to be a twin flame reading, and it will be. But we got to go around the charts. All right. And that's Lilith. See, remember, Lilith is also connected to the divine mother. And everything came out of her womb. So now your second house your first house is ruled by Aries. Your second house is ruled by Taurus, and you have Sagittarius there. Now Sagittarius rules the ninth house, but Sagittarius represents your higher self, higher education, higher courts, long distance travel, in-laws. Could also represent technology, publishing, like a higher education, a higher teacher. So any of those possibilities are in your second house. But your second house will always be your money, your possessions, and your value system. So any of those things could be associated with that. Then we go into your third house. And the first thing you see is the moon and Capricorn. Now, a lot of times when you have the moon in Capricorn, that's telling you that you're an old soul. But now you're an old soul in your third house. So the first thing we want to do, well, your third house is about young children, young kids. Again, publishing, education. It's ruled by Gemini. Third house is ruled by Gemini. That's about creativity, communications, mental things, like a very intelligent but mental things. And it's about short distance travel. So Capricorn represents career and reputation. So it might be career and reputation in any of these areas, but it's also about the brotherhood. Now the moon will always represent the divine feminine, and also the mother. And I believe your moon is at looks like 2 degrees. I'm about to increase the size of these charts. Yeah, so it's 2 degrees. So your moon would pretty much be like the high priestess, because that's the number 2 tarot card, and she does correspond with the moon. And she brings twin flames together and soulmates together. But right away, you start seeing all those retrogrades. So we're gonna pull that up again. We're gonna pull that up because retrogrades, planets with auras, usually mean past lives. Because like I said, that's why I said somebody said, oh, they're trying to figure out why they argue and stuff like that, but they don't want to go through the correct process. And no card reader is gonna be able to tell you all that, because you have to have your natal chart so you can see it. No card reader is gonna hit every point precisely. They might get some of them, they ain't gonna hit all of them. Your natal chart, you get all of them. All right, so Uranus retrograde deals with extremities, but also deals with people that change up. They're one way 1 minute, and then another way another minute. So people with Uranus retrograde, like I said, things can change, but it also can come with chaos internally to the individual. And in a chart like this, that could definitely be what it is, but it could also be chaos externally in the world. So people don't understand. Even when I'm saying, I know nobody understands what I'm saying, but like you could actually, like your energy or any chaos could actually be connected to you through the energy. Like even years ago, it was 2 black males that was killing people, and I think they was riding around a white van or something. They was just shooting people. Now, if y'all know who Son of Sam, the Son of Sam killer is, David Berkowitz. He's still in prison for killing people in the 1970s. But he actually came and made an announcement asking those 2 men. Well, they didn't know, like they kind of knew who the suspects were, but they didn't know their names and nothing like that, but they knew what they looked like. So he came out and asked those men to stop killing people. He said because ever since they started killing people, he said he can't get any sleep. But you say, well, you're in prison. You haven't been out of prison in decades. So why would 2 men out here killing people have anything to do with you? So there was some type of energy connection with that. And like I said, it's nothing to be scared about, but you have to learn how to change your thinking, and you have to realize you got power, and you have to change. Like you don't even like, if you ever have you ever heard of Khalifa, the Empress or the Queen of California? And that was a black woman, and she was so powerful with these psychic gifts. When they finally overthrew her, that's why all that stuff you see out there, like Area 51 and all that stuff. Even though I'm saying West Side, I know I said she is a Queen of California, but all that stuff out there was her domain. And even where I'm at, they got a big old fort called Fort Earl. But this used to be the zone of the Native Americans, the Sand Hill Indians, the Native Americans. So they overthrow these very powerful people, and these are astrological, very powerful people. and they get overthrown, and then that's why they built forts on top of it, because they took all that technology. That's why when you all be out here flipping over some cell phone or some silly shit, they had that technology hundreds and thousands of years ago. So when you listen to like Remedy H, he tells you stuff like this. If you listen to him on YouTube, and also it's another gentleman named Ital Iman, Ital Iman, Ital Iman, and even he said in the 1980s he was in a bank and he realized one of them tellers wasn't human. This is what he said. He said in one of his recent videos. He said so he was walking outside the bank and he knew that that teller he just was talking to was not human. He said so he turned around to go back in that bank and he was going to go up to that teller. And this is what he said. He said the moment he did that, he said he noticed that a black woman just came out. And he said she was beautiful. And he said she was so beautiful. He said because that's when I was younger. He said I had to talk to her. He said he started talking to her and they was going back and forth. He said he shook her hand and she said to him, "What you're about to do, don't do it." So there are angels among us. And that's not the first time I heard people say that angels showed up and they were black people. They had braids and dreads and stuff. So this stuff is a reality. And I mean, the people that are reporting this are not black people. They're white people seeing this. So it's not a black thing. And even on YouTube, it's a man that said he saw a spacecraft and he said black people getting out of it. And she said, black people, you mean like African Americans? And he said, no, like real black people. He said like on a hieroglyphic of Egypt and stuff. So that's your beginnings of melanin. And that's the 666 that Bobby Hemmett talked about. And that's why if you study like the moon number is 18. Like a tarot card is 18 at 666. That's the moon number because that's the mother. So none of this stuff is really difficult. It's just that people are so caught up in the matrix. And that's what happens. The matrix dumbs you down. It takes you to your lower self. And you're almost functioning on a level of an animal. And even Shaka Zulu, not Shaka Amo said, don't say that because you're actually disgracing or disrespecting the animals because they act more civilized than a lot of humans on low frequencies. So the more you learn and the more you start to accept that, your vibration begins to rise. And some of the stuff that you used to do, you ain't going to do no more because you realize what it is. So pretty much what I'm trying to tell you is you're on these frequencies. And if you did listen to stuff Remedy H says, he tells you that. He says there's going to come a time when these people wake back up that they'll be able to destroy a whole enemy, whatever. Enemies will be coming with all these whatever, and the person will be able to just, like you be seeing on TV, like the X-Men are these people. That's why when you see Malcolm X and all that, that's why. It's not a coincidence. All the shit they know. Even like Nibiru, they call it Planet X. So again, when Uranus retrogrades, person's coming out of nowhere. If they were quiet, all of a sudden they're talkative and noisy. If they're normally talkative and noisy, all of a sudden they just get quiet. So now for your past life, so Uranus retrograde is about extremes, not a hot or cold. And anybody knows that angelic people are like that. Even angelic people that are in human bodies for whatever reason, they're like that. They only see truth or untruth. So they say in one of your previous lives you were probably a rebel or a revolutionary. But again, that's kind of like military. And like somebody like Queen or Empress Khalifa, that's what she was. Because she is one of the hardest people. She is one of the hardest people to overthrow. And on the west side, the west coast. And then over here, where I'm at, Monmouth County, New Jersey. And they even tell you, they say, oh, the American Revolution. If it wasn't for the Battle of Monmouth, The American Revolution would have went back because there was a stronghold. But that's where that fort is. So that's how you know. Because they had to overthrow them people and take over their technology, which they did. And everywhere where they took over their technology, that's why you got all this Area 51, all these forts and all that shit. And that's why Remedy H tells you stuff like that. So you were fighting for what you thought was right in a past life as a rebel or revolutionary. But I tend to say a soldier, like Empress Khalifa. So they say in this life you have to learn that there are middle grounds. Like it can't just be right or wrong. Because like I used to be, like I had to learn all this stuff. Because people are gonna do what they want to. So all you can do is live and let live. Like if it's people you ain't got no type of control over and stuff like it's nothing you can do. So you have to learn to compromise, learn to live and let live. And they say you don't have to fight everything that you think is an injustice. You don't have to fight it. Neptune retrograde is all about escapism. And you have to be careful because usually escapism comes with some form of addiction to something, alcohol or drug abuse or just escaping. And remember, your Neptune rules your 12th house. So because of planet Neptune, your 3rd house and your 12th house are also going to be connected. Because Neptune rules Pisces, Pisces rules the 12th house. But Neptune retrograde makes you more, your intuition kicks in, more psychic and mystical, because Neptune is mystical. And Uranus also deals with technology. See, because that's something else that Remedy H said. He said there's gonna come a time when he said really this whole thing is like a computer, this matrix and stuff. And when you think about it, say, oh, that sounds stupid. But y'all watch Star Trek and they go on a hologram. So he said it's gonna come a time when like our computers and everything gonna become one. It's gonna all link in. And they show you that stuff on Terminator. And if you know who Sophia Stewart is, she's the mother of all that. She's the mother of the Matrix. So she told you all that stuff way back when. So with a Neptune retrograde, again, logic falls to the wayside. Your intuition increases. You start to understand esoteric matters better. Your dreams, because Neptune definitely affects the dreams. Dreams and psychic abilities increase. And remember, this is your communication house, the 3rd house. But this is like for people who like if this was about twin flames or relationships, they don't stay together though. Like therefore, this is like for people who haven't really matured yet. But through knowledge and stuff, it is possible they can mature. And that's why either Capricorn or Sagittarius would help them, because Capricorn is a little bit more mature. All right, like another woman, she's from the Caribbean islands, and I want to give her a channel too. Her name is Veronica. Her channel is Higher Realm Holistics, and she tells you a lot of stuff too. Because that's why I said people get so caught up in this matrix, they be worrying about stuff that at the end of the day it's just a distraction. And like what I try to tell people, if you put yourself in place with why you're here, you put yourself in place with your purpose, all that other stuff's gonna follow anyway. But what happens is, like I said, Romans chapter 1 as well as Genesis 5, people love the creation more than they love the creator. And then as long as you do that, you're always going to be in a wilderness somewhere, walking around in circles. So that's why I try to teach people, put yourself where you're supposed to be, and all the rest of that stuff will follow anyway. And nothing's going to be easy on this planet, so. And I don't know if anybody else is noticing it, but it's been some strange shit with technological stuff today. Because I done had somebody call me 2 different times. To Archangel. 2 different times. And even I had something earlier. So I don't know if Mercury's retrograde or not. I would have to look. All right. So it says new outlooks of communications come to surface as artistic abilities get expressed. But again, you're in the third house, and it just said new outlooks of communications, artistic ability increases. That's all the third house. That's what the third house is about anyway, whether Neptune is there or not. So now you know why that Neptune is retrograde in the third house. But they say you have to be careful because Neptune rules bacteria, viruses, and the immune system. So when it goes retrograde, allergies may kick up, or worsen. It says children who are given vaccinations during this time can develop stronger reactions to the drugs. So you may suffer with an oversensitive immune system. And you can develop more serious diseases, so be very careful. So they say you'll tend to escape reality through delusion or dreams. And you have to be very careful though, because a lot of your stuff may be coming from who you really are and your people. And that's part of your wake up. So you have to be very careful because it's not a delusion. It's only a delusion because you're still in this matrix, but this matrix is coming down. It's going to come a time when the matrix becomes a delusion. Like they keep saying, it's shift. That's what they're talking about. Every time you hear the word shift, that's really what, whether they know what they mean or not, that's what they're talking about. That's why I said when you listen to somebody like Remedy H says a lot of shit that sounds like what the heck is he talking about, but it basically will be that. So they say again, they say you don't tell people what's going on in your mind, and that could be dangerous for you though. So you already got the Lilith, that's secretive. You got the Scorpio, Pluto, that's secretive, and then you got this Neptune retrograde in the third house, which is supposed to be the house of communication. But they're saying most of your communication will be probably mental or something deep inside of yourself, and that could be dangerous. Plus, if you're talking about relationships, how does a relationship grow if you don't talk? See, like I said, I tell people, I know a lot of this stuff can be hard, but it can be worked on if you want to. And then it's very important that the person you're talking to is listening and learning. Because otherwise, you're going to be, why am I wasting my time talking to somebody who's not listening to me when I talk? So they say a person like you may spend time in daydreaming. And if it's not daydreaming, but it's still some type of internal mental self-communication. Now they say Neptune retrograde can be one of the most dangerous retrograde positions in astrology. Because it causes people to be inhibited, or they may lack the confidence to reach out for their dreams in reality. and they'll just escape. They would rather just escape than to deal with the situation. And again, what you have to learn though is it worth it? Because some stuff you should just walk away from it. So it all depends on what it is. Walking away from some BS, that's not escapism. Like if you got crazy ass relatives and shit, then all they about is the drama all the time. You don't have to argue with people every day of your life. Like I said, I had to learn all of this. You know, that's the first thing I'm asking myself. Is it even worth it? What is this about, and is it worth it? If it's some old BS, you won't see me talking to these motherfuckers. Because they're gonna be the same way. I got people that have been the same way 40 or more years. Ain't changed a bit. Was an a-hole back in like 60s and 1960s, and they a-hole now. Whatever's 40 years, whatever it is. And it's just what it is. But at the same time, when you realize that, you can breathe and let it go. Like I said, I got a friend of mine that just died. Same thing. I can remember arguing with him all the time in 1980. So some people ain't going to change. So it's no sense in even arguing with them people. But that don't make you an escapist. It makes you, to me, it makes you a more mature person and a realist. So they tell you watch out abusing drugs or alcohol or anything really. There's so many things out there you can do that's not necessarily good for you or the people around you, but it's a form of escapism. So they say this type of person can have bouts with various forms of mental illness. So how do you avoid that? Don't go inward. And don't be afraid to discuss little voices inside your head or whatever's going on to deal with it. So they say in a past life, maybe your dreams were laughed at, put down, or forbidden. But also you may have been forced to give up your lifelong dreams in exchange for other responsibilities, such as becoming the breadwinner for your family unexpectedly. So remember that makes sense, because what do you got right there? Capricorn. Now remember, that's your third house. That's supposed to be the house of the little kids. That comes right before your fourth house, which is the house of the teenagers. So if you already got Capricorn and the moon in Capricorn, so this is like an old soul. So you were already forced at some point in this life or another life, you were already forced to be an old soul when you should have been like on some Michael Jackson stuff. You should have been playing with toys and stuff. But you're already forced to. Like Michael Jackson really became like the breadwinner of that whole family. Because without Mike, they wouldn't have had all that. Like just the other night, just last night, I was looking at Living Color. It just popped up and they were cracking all over Joe Jackson. What his name? Greer, whatever his name is. Is his name David Allen Greer or whatever? He was cracking all over Joe Jackson and Michael and all that. So Michael had to be the breadwinner of the whole family. And he's just a little kid. That's why, like, I always get mad when Prince tried to say he was more talented than Michael and all that. You could never lace Michael's shoes. Like your arrogance is making you delusional. Prince was real good. Don't get me wrong, and he might have played a lot of instruments and he was a writer and all that. But you ain't. Mike will go down and round. I mean, as far as musically speaking, Michael Jackson will go down on the Mount Rushmore of the greats. Just the way it is. Facts. And if people say, "Oh, well, Michael did this, Michael did that," but throughout their history, a whole lot of people have done this and done that. So you can't just pick and choose who you want to expose. And I'm not justifying it. I'm just keeping it 100. So because you went through these things in your past life, now in your present life, you may still try to escape. Or you may have extreme expressions of your creativity. So you just have to be careful with that. But again, if you could take it and make movies out of it and stuff like that, it may work in your benefit. But they're saying because you're very extreme, it could affect your life. And extreme is extreme. But whatever extremity is. Because your first house extremity may be different than your third house extremity. But even in your third house, if you being all quiet and keeping everything to yourself, that's very extreme too. And it would be very difficult for a relationship. And I'd already told you that the third house is a breakup house. So they're telling you if you need to seek help, then seek help. But the thing is, you don't want to escape. You want to deal with situations. And your creativity should be used in a positive way and not a, which may be considered some type of a neural way, or even psychotic way, or things like that. Now, your third house is very karmic because you have Saturn, and Saturn rules Capricorn. So now your 10th house is directly affected or connected to your third house. And now in your 10th house, you have Leo. You have a lot of stuff in your 10th house. But see, Leo is very creative too. Two of the most creative zodiac signs are Leo and the third house, or Gemini. So the third house and the fifth house ruled by Leo, very creative. So again, you're very creative, and you see money, you see Jupiter, and so your creativity is leading to finances one way or another. But it looks like you're gonna have to deal with some type of abusive uh, superiors, whoever they might be, in your third house and possibly your 10th house. But they make you tough. When I say they, I'm talking about the people who put this chart together and assigned all these numbers and stuff like that. But they made you like a Leo, like a Leo in the 10th house. That's like some type of leadership position. So a Leo in the 10th house won't necessarily bow down to supervisors or who's ever trying to bully you. Which so far, that's probably a good thing. So Saturn retrograde in the third house. Now this is very important. Now there's two social planets. One is Saturn. One is the other is Jupiter. And it's funny because you got Jupiter in your 10th house. So when you see Saturn retrograde on your chart, this is a tough taskmaster, tough taskmaster, tough taskmaster. So that could be you or people around you. So it's gonna Saturn retrograde is gonna make you work harder, take longer to think things through. For your actions or events occurring around you. So there are no shortcuts when you're dealing with a Saturn retrograde, and detailed plans should not be rushed. They're telling you to take time to breathe and do things right the first time. And don't forget, this is still the house of children or small ones or even immature adults. So you can't let none of those people rush you or get you caught up in their BS. Because this is very karmic. So you'll be held accountable one way or the other for it. So again, you will have issues with authority. So like I said, your third house and your 10th house are a lot alike. Because this could even be a person who's on some type of broadcasting or podcast or whatever's going on. So if you're working on legal matters with a Neptune, with a Saturn retrograde, Because like I said, Neptune does represent the media as well. So that's why I'm saying this could be some type of people or person in media. So if you're working on any legal matters such as contracts, deals, they may get delayed. Deadlines may be extended. Now, this is the part you got to be careful. With a Saturn retrograde, you may find yourself working on something you thought was already complete. So they're kind of telling you that if if you had something coming up, contracts or legal or something like that, and you think you got it all done, that when you go back to it to pull it out, you're going to find that it still needs to be complete. You're going to say, I thought I did this. But for some strange reason, it's not going to be complete. Also, that might mean that at the last minute, they tell you, well, we need this too. Even though they never said that before. So now you got to go back in and they say you don't want to rush it. So that's why you have to really ask questions. What actually do I need? Do I need anything else? Or I'm following up just to make sure. Because they're telling you with a Saturn retrograde, it's going to come out. Oh no, we need more. Oh, we don't need that. We need this. So Saturn retrograde means that in past lives or whatever, you've always been in conflict with authority. You may feel persecuted by your boss, supervisor, or upper management. Or you might be the abusive one, or have been an abusive one in past lives. But Saturn retrograde, see, because Saturn really is supposed to regulate or set limits. Saturn retrograde means that you don't really set limits. Or you might have a problem telling other people no. Because remember, Saturn really is setting limits, but a Saturn retrograde isn't setting limits. So you may have a problem speaking up to authority, but that means you will allow yourself to be victimized. And Saturn retrograde means it's the opposite of Saturn direct. Saturn direct means limits. Saturn retrograde means there ain't no limit. So you may even have a problem with patience, self-discipline. And also a person might get mad because you may think somebody else should have stepped up and spoke up for you. So Saturn retrograde means abuse one way or another, whether it's a past life abuse or abuse now. And remember, like I said, the third house would be younger abuse. And again, even if it was teenage, which would be the fourth house, but it doesn't matter, it's still abuse, whenever it was. Even adult, whenever it was. So they're saying you may have been a prisoner, you may have been enslaved, or you might have been an abusive leader somehow. But remember, what I'm trying to tell you is this could also be back to when you were military, or they said the rebel or the revolutionary. So they say somebody with a Saturn retrograde might actually look for the easier way out to avoid being abused, or they're trying to make their life easier. So you have to learn a lesson of patience, but also you have to learn a lesson of accountability. You have to hold other people accountable, but you also have to hold yourself accountable. And you have to learn to constructively voice your concerns and opinions. Because again, that goes back to Neptune retrograde, the escapist. You don't speak up. Or you try to find a sneaky way around the situation instead of dealing with it. But when you learn how to speak up and stuff like that, you'll begin to end the cycle of victimization. So remember, this is a very karmic house, and that is what you're supposed to be in the third house, learning how to do these things so that you can end that cycle of victimization. But you also have to hold yourself accountable, especially if you're the abusive one. And you have to learn to live a disciplined life, making plans, setting strategy, working hard on your task. Because that's what Saturn's going to ask. Are you working and meeting your task? Because if not, Saturn can bring delays, Saturn can bring karma. So again, wherever you see retrograde, you got to find out what they mean. I just told you. And you got to set goals. And that's how you'll be dealing with your past life depth and your karmic depth. And again, your third house will have a lot to do with your fourth house. Your third house will have a lot to do with your 10th house, but we're not going to do that yet. And the 10th house, because Saturn and Capricorn rule the 10th house, is going to be karmic. Now, your true north node is in the 4th house of Aquarius. Whenever Aquarius is in the 4th house, this may be people who almost like a military family. But these are people that, because this is your 4th house is supposed to be about your family. But when Aquarius is there, Aquarius rules your 11th house. And this is Aquarius means friends, association, groups. But Aquarius rules your 11th house. So when we look at your 11th house, what do we see? We see Virgo. Well, Virgo rules your 6th house. And it's given an implication, once again, of possibly homeland or military. And that's also your sun sign, Virgo. So Virgo rules your 6th house. And when we look at your 6th house, we see Aries, which once again is making that implication of military, because Mars rules Aries. So whether that's the case or not, we're not sure. But it's an indication of you were traveling, and wherever you went, that became the family. So now your 4th house is friends. Your 4th house is teenage to adult education, land, property, or real estate, ancestors, and family. The woman who raised you when you were young, that's Imom Kweli, and she'll be in your subconscious mind always. The 4th house can deal with health or vehicles and travel. And it's your true north node, which means that's why you're here. And you can look at it, you notice your true north node, that little horseshoe in your 4th house, and that's Aquarius, at those two waves. Well, your true north node, why you're here, your purpose in life, doesn't have an aura. And it should, because really that's the only thing on your natal chart that should have an aura. So whenever you see a true north node without aura, we know it was very dysfunctional. So that goes back to probably some type of bullying or abuse by probably the father more than anything. Whoever stood in that father position. And that's why you're looking at it in your 3rd house, Saturn retrograde, because that usually represents the father, and kind of disciplinarian. And then, like I said, you got the moon there as well, which generally represents the mother, which means she probably didn't do too much to stop it. And some people will try to defend the mom and stuff like that, but universally wise, she would still be kind of held guilty by the universe. So what could she have done and stuff like that? But universally wise, especially on this chart, they would still hold her responsible, because your 3rd house is very karmic, which means everybody there is going to be held responsible, universally wise. And then you have a 6 there. Now 6 is the Lover's card, but that's Gemini energy, and it's about doubt usually. So whenever you have both Gemini and Aquarius, they don't like to go too deep, and they have a sense of wanting to be free and not being held accountable. Go to your 5th house, where you have good fortune, but it's spiritual because you have Pisces there. And it's 7 degrees, which is the Chariot card, and that's Cancer energy too. Because fifth house can be about children as well as having fun. And yours is 7 degrees 14. Well, again, 14 is Sagittarius energy, the Temperance card, and that's about internal change. And understand your fifth house, you're gonna have to follow Leo because Leo rules your fifth house, so that's going to your 10th house as well. Going in your sixth house, you got Aries there, but your sixth house is about service or home, young children, small animals, co-workers, subordinates, health, and healing. But when you got Aries in the sixth house, you're usually dealing with some type of military, soldiers, and whatever. Now, going in your seventh house, you have Vesta there, 28 degrees. Vesta and Taurus can deal with repression, like kind of like sexual repression, because Taurus can be very sensual as well. But remember, Taurus rules the second house. Seventh house is supposed to be about relationships, contracts, the law, karma, legal matters, court matters, open enemies. And Mars and Taurus is interesting because Taurus likes to be kind of Taurus. Well, they're both of them are very. Mars and Taurus can be very sexual, very sexual. But Taurus likes to be patient, take its time, and Mars want to get to it. So in that way, Mars is in his detriment in Taurus. But what where you see where you see Vesta, they say you could burn out there. Wherever you see Vesta, you can burn out. Like you got to know how to slow down there because you can burn out. But Vesta and Taurus can also mean like sexual repression. So let's just look at like I said, Taurus 28 degrees is always like overbalanced. But we can also look at 28 degrees Taurus and see what they say. A woman past her change of life experiences. A woman past her change of life experiences a new love. Two cobblers working at a table. And 29 degrees Taurus again, and two cobblers working at a table. A peacock parading on the terrace of an old castle. So they just keep implying some type of change from old to new or something like that. But we can look at it because that's an anaretic degree. 29 degrees is an anaretic degree, so you got to look at your anaretic. So let's pull that up. So 29 degrees Taurus. It could be the end of some type of money situation. So the person might find themselves filing bankruptcy. Because remember, this is a legal house. Or trying to find a way to pull out of debt. This could also be the end of a cycle involving real estate. Could be a land sales profit. So they say, unfortunately, some sort of financial crisis or situation is denoted. And then you go 29 degrees because Libra rules the seventh house. So since that is the seventh house, you can go 29 degrees Libra as well. The end of a cycle where a pressing legal issue is involved. And like they like to say the end, but I like to say it's just intensity. Plus, when you got Mars there, you know it's gonna be intensity. It requires it could signify marital situations or a relationship situation. They even said divorce. So that's 29 degrees Libra, 29 degrees Taurus, and it's also 29 degrees Mars. So it's intense energy. Could be health issues. Could also be something with sexual matters as well. So even there, like I said, in that seventh house, you don't see anything that really denotes. Because like when you're dealing with abuse, that's what happens, you know. Because in that seventh house, is nothing really there that's going to denote like a relationship. This is like intensity, sexual, like I said, repression. Because Vesta and Taurus could definitely mean sexual repression. And you got to remember, because Vesta was rape. So what's ever going on here in the sixth house, which is the home, and you got Aries there. Because I said military, but it could also be aggression in the home as well. And I already told you that it could be small children. And you see it in the third house too, small children. Both the third house and the sixth house, there were small children. So she would have to get healing from that. Anything that took place in her life when she was younger or whatever, she has to get healing from that. That's why you don't want to hold it all in. You don't want to keep it all in because you can't get healing. And then you go right back to the eighth house, which is ruled by Scorpio and Pluto, and you see Gemini. So once again, Gemini rules your third house. So we see all this karma going on in the eighth house. And remember, the eighth house is like about death and rebirth. And they put Gemini there because they want you to go deep. Because Gemini don't like to go deep. Like one thing about Gemini, this is what Gemini do. The only time Gemini wants to know something is like if they're interested in somebody. So Gemini will start asking the person questions, but they're not asking the person questions because they really want to know about the person. They're asking a person questions because they don't want to be caught up in no BS. See, my ascendant is Gemini, and they don't want to be caught up in no BS. So when they're asking a person a question, they're not asking a person a question to say, oh, you know, I want to get to know you. They're asking a person a question and say, this person better not have no baggage or no luggage because I'm not carrying none of that shit. So what they do, what the universe does, they take Gemini and put Gemini in the eighth house because that's a deep house. That's Scorpio. That's Pluto. So they put Gemini there to make Gemini go deeper. But again, when you got the vertex cross, And that vertex is 24 degrees. Now 24 is the return. This is a situation you've been connected with before, whether it's past life or whatever it is, but 24 makes you return to it. And if you notice, it's 24, 21. Why? Because 21 is a world card. That's Saturn energy. That's karmic energy. So this is a karmic situation. And the cross, the vertex cross, is about a soulmate or a twin flame, but it's also about events. Events. Things that are about to happen or things that already happened. So now, why do you think Cancer or the family, the ruler of the fourth house, is in the ninth house? Because like this, we already determined this was some type of traveling family type of thing, whether it was military or whatever. But it's some type of traveling thing. And again, it could be in-laws, because like the ninth house is all about in-laws, traveling, higher courts, religion, philosophy. And again, you see Chiron, Chiron, that's an asteroid about healing. So now you want to go like 23 degrees Cancer and see what they say. Because we already said 23 is like a diplomat or a good speaker or stuff like that. But it can also change on you. It could be real Uranus. It's like it has a Uranus connotation. So when you go 23 degrees Cancer. The meeting of a literary society, or a woman and two men cast away on a small island of the South Seas. So now when we get to your 10th house, you see that asteroid is Pallas, but that's the soulmate asteroid, and it's 0 degrees. So once again, that's Uranus energy, and Uranus rules Aquarius, which is your true north node, and Uranus is already with your Capricorn. So your 0 degrees is the Fool card, and again, that's when the High Priestess sends the Fool on the journey, and the Fool believes her, but even though he's walking off a cliff. He has unquestionable trust. He has unquestioning trust in the High Priestess. And you see your Jupiter's at 2 degrees, and that's the High Priestess's number, 2 degrees. So it's almost like you're being rewarded for being putting your trust in. Cause see, Jupiter is real spiritual. Like a lot of people don't know that. Like Jupiter used to rule Pisces, but now Neptune does, because Pisces is real spiritual too. And if you notice where your Pisces is, you got good fortune. So in both those locations, it's almost like that High Priestess, which is also Sagittarius energy, is rewarding you for putting faith in. Because both Sagittarius and Jupiter represent a higher belief system. And that's why in your second house, which is your money house, they got Sagittarius. And then where you have Capricorn, you got the moon. So it's almost like the moon, like I said, who is the high priestess, is rewarding you. So it's almost like you're being encouraged to put trust in a higher existence or a higher belief system to make your soulmate stuff work. Because Pallas is a soulmate asteroid. So then you have Leo in his 10th house, which is the leader. Leo's not afraid. Leo's bold. But again, it still deals with children as well. And then you got 19 degrees, which is the sun card. But it's also 19 degrees and 18 minutes. And 18 is the moon card. So that's twin flame. That's the sun being the divine masculine. And then it's the moon, which is the divine feminine. And then you got Leo, you got Venus there, which is because with Venus it's telling you might find yourself in some type of relationship or a situation, some type of love or some type of love situation with a Leo. But it could still be a Capricorn because Capricorn rules the 10th house. And it could also be a Sagittarius because Jupiter rules Sagittarius. But either way, it's like money and prosperity. And your medium Coeli also works with your true north node. And that's why I said your true north node is 6 degrees, which is the lover card. The lovers. So when you have it's Venus at 20 degrees, but Pluto. So and that's the judgment card. So you try to ask a question what does it mean when the judgment card appears in a love reading. So this says trusted psychic mediums.com judgment, but we want to make sure it's a love reading, so I hope that's what they're talking about. So it's saying how the judgment card appears when it's time to be honest with yourself. And it said it's about honesty. So when judgment appears in your reading, know that absolutes are going to happen. Judgment indicates rebirth and resurrection. And also talking about Archangel Gabriel. But this is all about this is also about the rising of these people that I'm talking about. Because Archangel Gabriel is their archangel. That's why in the book of Daniel, which is also about the resurrection of these people that have been in captivity, you notice it's Archangel Gabriel. So the Judgment card can also mean healing, healing from an illness, from an accident, can mean a major change. It can mean legal battles, but it's all about resurrecting, rising from it. But now it says Judgment, Tarot, and Love. That's what we're looking for because of Venus. So it says when it comes to love and a relationship, Judgment can mean that you are judging or are being judged. So judgment might appear when a troubled relationship needs time to heal or repair itself. So judgment wants you to take a closer look at your relationship to learn what causes fights and arguments. And they say sometimes fight for the sake of fighting. And this is the first thing we said when we first began this read. So judgment card may mean you and your mate need to weigh the pros and cons of your relationship. It can mean the climax or the collapse of the relationship. It can mean making amends or coming clean. So it's a make or break situation. You have Venus there, but you also have Jupiter. So now it says Judgment card and money. So they're saying when Judgment card shows in regard to money, it may mean that things are on an upswing. Continue to be a good citizen. Don't go speeding. Don't park in no parking zones. And it says if you have any type of things that need to be addressed and take care of it when the Judgment card appears. So it also means you're going to have to make a decision in relationship to work or money. They're telling you don't be indecisive, but don't be rash either. Take a step back and weigh the pros and the cons before making the decision. The Judgment card is a very active card. So it says be careful with your money and avoid the lure of offers that sound too good to be true. Trust the expertise of people you know who won't get you in trouble. But if you're still in doubt, it's probably best that you don't go ahead with the deal for now. So now I see a all right. So this is kasamba.com. So let's see what this says. And I don't think this one, wait a minute, because the browser won't open up. Now it finally opened up. But we want to make sure about that's the main thing we're looking at. Okay. So what does the Judgment card mean for love? The Judgment represents a deep, much needed awakening to your real needs. It might be time to leave behind. Because remember, your 10th house is very karmic. That's why I said that's where I met my twin flame at my job. It's very karmic. That's why you could almost spell career with karma. C-A-R. It might be time to leave behind your notions of what you're looking for in a partner, of what you expect from a relationship. How do you define love? What have your relationships taught you? What was missing, and how can you make sure the same thing won't be missing again in your next relationship? So to understand your 10th house, you got to go back to all that stuff I said in your 3rd house. So for some reason, your 10th house is a reflection of your past life and all that stuff we talked about in the 3rd house. The Judgment card points at a time for inner exploration. You have to take time to hear your soul and its real needs. Your dating life can take an extremely positive turn, bringing you all the things we all dream of. Don't rush, but get in touch with yourself first. So that's why I said if you're just breaking up and making up, you got to really be asking yourself, what did you learn? What you got to be asking yourself questions like that, because otherwise you're just going to be breaking up, making up, breaking up, making up. You have to be very clear about what you want before saying yes to a date. Judgment isn't about rash actions. It's about well thought out ones. But remember, that's your communication house. That's why I'm saying your 3rd house and your 10th house are working together. So that's why I said about maturity. That's why when I did that new video, I did a new video today, or now it's a new day. So I did a new video yesterday. Let me get that title. She found her twin flame by searching correctly, 2020. And I said a lot of stuff in that video because, again, if we're going to stay immature, it's not going to work. So in your case, that's the whole Judgment. This is karmic, but it's like a decision has to be made there. It's a reflection, but it's a decision has to be made. And that's why it's 3rd house to 10th house, because you can't be kids. And most grown adults, they want to be little ass kids out here on YouTube. They want to be little ass kids, and they don't know why shit ain't working and why stuff ain't coming together. And of course the universe is going, what? Because what's in your 10th house? Leo. What am I? Leo. There's a reason for everything. So the Leo, and I'm not just talking to you, so don't think I'm talking about you, because I made that video way before I did your chart. So the point being made, you can't stay little kids. You gotta. What are we doing? What are we going? We're gonna argue all the time. What are we doing? Why are we doing this? Is this just gonna be about sex all the time? What are we doing? So that's what your 10th house is about. You gotta come to decisions to make moves, and it is about death and rebirth. You gotta get better. So the esoteric meaning is, like I said, God's people waking up and all that, everything I said. But the relationship aspect of it is exactly what we're talking about right now. Inner exploration. You got to take time to hear your soul and its real needs. That's why all that internal stuff just ain't cool. You can't be happy. You know what I'm saying? I'm telling you straight up, keeping it 100. You can't be all internal talking about, oh, I got relationship problems. Why my relationship? Well, you can't be internal. That's the whole point. relate? How you relating if it's internal? So you can't be internal with it. And that's why I said that take time for healing. What did you go through? You got to be honest about it. We didn't even get to your 12th house yet, but your whole chart has this 12th house reckoning to it. Because in the 12th house, you're really supposed to reckon and bring it all out and deal with it. And most people don't do that in the 12th house, but that you're supposed to. And we didn't even get to your 12th house yet. But believe me, your 12th house and your 10th house, and everybody's 12th house is always somehow weirdly connected to your 10th house. All this is karmic. And your 12th house is karmic too. They say don't rush. Get in touch with yourself. And it's funny because when we were in your 3rd house, we were talking about not rush. Remember Saturn retrograde? Well, Saturn still rules Capricorn. So Saturn's going to rule your 10th house. Don't rush. Get in touch with yourself. Be very clear about what you want before saying yes to a situation. Judgment isn't about rash actions. It's about well thought out ones. So you got to go inside and you got to really think about this. So the judgment card is saying the couple has to learn how to understand each other better. But again, it ain't going to happen without communication. So that's why I said you got to talk. Otherwise, that search is incorrectly. And that's why it ain't working. That's what I mean by bubblegum astrology. Just going with feelings. They got to feel it. It's not about you got to really talk. It's about communication. So do you two have communication? Because that's what the 10th house is asking you. Are you open with one another? Or are we still on that little kitty stuff? Hiding stuff from each other. Hiding games. Trying to get away with stuff. Not talking about shit. And that's what most people do. That's why that stuff go in and out. And I mean, like I said, when people are younger or they're just immature, everybody's using that as an excuse. Well, what happened last night? Oh, my battery ran out. so that's that young kid shit. You know what I'm saying? Because like I said, I remember a long time ago. Now this is real important. A lot of people don't think it's important because I'm talking about something that happened to me. But if I'm talking about something that happened to me on your chart, it's because I know inwardly it has something to do with you. Many years ago, I used to hang out with these dudes. They was from Greece though. They was white boys, but they wasn't no punks. And I'm not saying all white boys is punks, but I'm just making perfectly clear. So these dudes was from Greece. And if y'all know the history between the Moors and Greece, y'all understand that too. So anyway, we was at the Sheraton Hotel in a local township. I won't say what township it is, but it doesn't take, if you want to know, it doesn't take much to look it up. So that was in the days, most of these people are college, like I said, college kids. They got karaoke. And I ended up sitting at this table. Now I don't remember if Greg was with us. He might have been, but I just don't remember Greg. I remember sitting at this table with Sean. Sean was Greg's brother, but they're Greek. They're from Greek. They're Greeks. And it just happened to be this black female sitting there. Now I need y'all to listen because this is still about soulmates and all this stuff. It's very important y'all listen because this stuff is gonna have an ending that when I'm trying to tell y'all about soulmates and all that shit. So by that time, I was just being real quiet. So I'm sitting at the table, she's sitting at the table, and Sean keeps looking at me saying, talk to her, talk to her. And I won't talk to her because of the shit I've been through. And I'm looking at her because she's got this phone in her hand. And I know she's waiting on a call, and I already know how it's going to play out. So I'm like, why start something if the moment that phone rings, it's going to end it? So I made a video. See, this goes back to that video I made today. This is what I'm trying to tell y'all about searching and the searching the wrong way. So I won't say nothing to her. And she's actually trying to talk to me, and I won't talk to her. I'm just sitting there, I won't say shit. Because I already know what the fuck is going to happen. I'm like, why waste my time talking to you? Because the moment that phone going to ring, you're going to drop me and drop everything for that who's ever you waiting on that phone and stuff. Plus, I think she was engaged to something. I don't know if she had on a ring or nothing, but I think she was engaged to something too. And it's funny because at that hotel they always get married. That's where everybody goes to get married, at that hotel. And so she's sitting there. So sure enough, the phone did ring, and she just, as soon as that phone rang, she grabbed it and just ran because she was waiting for this guy. But she still was like trying to talk to me though, because I know how the game is played out, all that, and I've seen too many times. I know, like, this was the bar life. This was the bar life and stuff. And I remember another location. I was with Sean again. The guy, his Greece. His name was Sean. I was calling him Shawnee, Sean. I would go, "What's up, Shawnee, Sean?" But we was at another bar, and the same thing. This female walked in, and she was telling everybody, "I'm engaged, I'm engaged," and she was showing everybody her ring. But after a few drinks, she was still banging out with some other guy or whatever people do in the bar life. So even though she's got the ring on, talking about marriage and all that, she's still doing the same shit she was doing when she didn't have the ring on. So I know all this. So I'm like, I'm not with it. I'm not with. I'm just sitting here. I'm chilling. But the funny thing was, so that would have been around 2004. So lo and behold, in 2006, I go to this job, and guess who's there? But that same female. So as far as destiny, it was destiny to meet at that job. Now, like I said, I wasn't at that job very long, but I do remember her, and I do remember a white lady getting mad at her because she was talking. She was saying stuff like, I guess she was at that time, before she got that job or whatever it was. I don't remember everything, but I do remember that white lady getting real mad at her because she was receiving money from, whatever it is. But she was like going out and partying and shit, and then she was like, buying alcohol and stuff. So that white lady told her ass off. I remember that. I remember that like it was yesterday. That white lady told her off. But it was the same female that was at there, that I was sitting at that chair with. But what I'm trying to tell y'all is that's how this soul stuff works though. Because you keep seeing the same person for whatever reason. But at that time, that was like 2006. So I didn't know nothing about that. Was like 2006, 2007. So I didn't know nothing about twin flames and stuff till like later on, to like 2014, when I met my twin. And I still didn't know what no twin flame was. It wasn't until I went looking and started getting answers and stuff. But you cross the paths of these people all the time, and they are part of your soul tribe. And you keep seeing Pisces. This is what I'm trying to tell you. So for me, it would have been Pisces because I started off like Christian, spiritual and stuff. And I know a little bit about astrology. And then it all came together with metaphysics and everything. Everything I read, that long list I read when I got started, it's a journey. All this stuff is a journey. And even though I never talked, even when I worked with that female, I never talked to her. But I knew who she was, because I wanted to go up to her. I wanted to go up to her and say, "Do you remember me?" But I was like, she probably wouldn't, because it was like 2 year difference, and everybody was probably drunk that night anyway. Because that's what we used to do. We used to work in a call center, but even a call center, because like one was a telemarketing call center. When I was with Shawnee Sean, that was a telemarketing call center, and then we would, get off work and we would always go hang out at the bars and karaoke and shit. And then the other one was the one where I met my twin at. It wasn't a call center. It was a call center, but it wasn't telemarketing. We would just call people, make surveys and stuff, and ask questions. But all this stuff is about just like railroads, because I be having all kind of strange ass shit every time I go to a railroad. Drop my mother off because she goes down south to see her family and shit, my sister and stuff. But it's always some weird shit at the railroad and shit. But it's like the same type of vibe of a call center. That's all I can tell y'all. Because it's all supernatural. Just like you talking about yours is Gemini. That's call centers and shit. Call centers and shit. And then railroads would be Scorpio, the eighth house, the underworld, the underground. Because a lot of railroads go in tunnels and underground and shit. And some of those railroads you still gotta walk down. Like if you want to get on the other side, you gotta walk down and then go down. So all that's like eighth house. And every time I go to a railroad, it always be some type of karmic stuff. Because the last time I went to a railroad, it was like New Year's Eve, and it was a female, and we was just looking at each other like she was just walking, because it was like it just gets weird. Like I could go on and go on and go on, and I want to, because y'all know how I do, but I won't. But it always had a lot of it has to do with like my mom's and shit. Like even tonight, she kept calling me about you know problems with the TV, because she always has that and shit. But I had some problems, which I never had problems with this computer, not like the ones I had today. So I know it's probably a Mercury retrograde. But remember, Mercury rules Gemini. And as much as people think, well, what is this? It does got stuff to do with everything. But it's just that most people, they just want to know about their life and shit. But that's where you make your mistake, because all this shit is connected. All right. So what I'm gonna do real quick, I'm gonna find out if Mercury is retrograde or not, according to these astrologers, but they don't always tell the truth. No, well, according to them, Mercury is direct. But get this, it's 26, which that's some weird shit. And it's an Aquarius. Cause she has an Aquarius. That's why I said when you come to people like me, y'all should just let me do what I do, because all this shit is spirit and it's all communication and shit. Just like and the sun is next to Mercury too. The sun is conjunct Mercury at 11 degrees, and all this is in the first, second, third house. So we're still dealing with Gemini, still dealing with communication. See my point? And that's why I said, because she kept calling me about the remote, driving me crazy and shit. First, she couldn't get the TV was stuck in something. I had to go down there and fix that shit. Then late at night, I'm ready. Everybody's tired. She's calling me again to go down there because she can't get the universal remote won't work. And her other remote, I gave her a universal remote because her other remote was acting up and shit. I had already given her a universal. So now, so the universe is talking. So remember, anything like with a 26 is like Pisces energy, because it's like the word of God. So now, since you see 26 and Aquarius, and that's what's going on right now as I speak. But you got a lot of Aquarius on your chart, and you definitely got a lot of Gemini on your chart, and then the Sun. Your Sun is in Virgo, so we want to look at 26. All right, sacred stars and your numbers. All right, so let's do it. And we just want to get a quick summary of the number 26. Because like I said, that number 26 has a Pisces vibration to it. It's like God, like the word of God. And if you see like 26, that's definitely twin flame, because it's double. All right, we're almost there with the 26. telling you to meditate, pray, focus upon your spiritual interests and practices. Listen to your intuition as to the next steps to take in regards to serving your life purpose. And we're in your 10th house, medium coeli, and that does have to do with your life purpose while you're here. It goes back to that little horseshoe. Now let's look at your true north node. That's your horseshoe. So let's look at that. Yep. And your it's in Aquarius. So that's why we're trying to tell you. That's why when people like got that gift, let them talk, because they're still talking to you, even though I'm talking about some shit. You're like, why is he talking about that? And that's why I say sometimes you gotta listen. There's a reason why. So it has to do with your Gemini, your 3rd house, and your Aquarius. So if you were paying attention, because that's where everything is right now, according to the astrologers on the chart. So it's some type of communication. So like I said, it's like a broken communication. So you gotta really communicate, because you can't expect your stuff to get better if you don't. You can't expect your relationship to get better if you hold it all in. And then, like I said, when she came, it probably was a message, because even that's what happened. Like even with her, she was just sitting at that table holding that phone. And I don't know if she ever got married, because when I saw her again, she didn't mention it. And like me, I was still healing, like for real. So I wasn't really trying to talk to nobody. Like that's why when I'm trying to tell y'all from literally from that time I was with him, hanging out with Sean and them dudes. So that was around 2004 to 2014. Literally, I still wasn't healing and shit. Because when I saw my twin in 2014, and I, like I said, I didn't even know what a twin flame was at the point. I wasn't talking to her either and shit. And that's why she was getting all mad and shit. But like she kind of she knew something. I don't know what she knew, because she was real quiet. She was unbelievably quiet. And that's what scared me. She scared me. She scared me to fucking death, because she would just stare at me and shit, wouldn't talk. And then she would get real mad, but she would never talk. I was like, and I told her, I was like, yo, how do you expect me to understand you? You don't never talk and shit. And even after I told her, she still wouldn't talk and shit. Just stare at you and shit. Because that's what twin flames do. They stare at each other and shit. But I was like, that scared the shit out of me. And I don't scare easy and shit, but she damn sure scared. Because anybody not talking, like, nah, not around me. Because I talk about I'm not I talk about I'm not scared of shit. But when I see somebody like that, I'm like, no, it's no way in hell I'm gonna have a relationship with you, because you don't talk. I like, no sir. So it's kind of funny how the world is like one big bubble, because we're still talking about communication issues and shit like that. And I remember that female just holding that phone. She had that ring. Yeah, now I'm starting to remember. She had that ring on her finger, and she was just holding that phone. But she did want to talk to me, though. And we was in that same table. And then the universe gave me a second chance with her, because we worked together. And I still didn't talk to her, even at that job. And we was on the same floor. Like I was in one section, and she was in another. But we was in the same office on the same floor and shit. And I still wouldn't talk to her and shit. But it wasn't her personal. It's just shit I was going through. So that's what. So what keeps ringing in my head is like, what was the purpose? But I think the purpose was this shit right now. I really do, because all this shit is synchronicity. It's all about Aquarius. It's still about Gemini. It's still about the 3rd house, which is communication. And then all that shit was going on when I kept getting called tonight because of that shit. And then I was on the phone early this morning and shit, because I got a lot of shit going on in my personal life. So I was on the phone, and I remember I had the phone up here early yesterday morning and stuff. And I never had a phone because it's not my phone. And I had it up here because I was on the phone early this morning and shit, trying to figure stuff out. So yeah, it's the same thing. It's the same energy. Oh, so when I was at the train station on December 31st, New Year's Eve, because I had to pick this person up from the train, pick her up from the train station, and I seen that female. So this person just got a mystical, like my mom do. My mom, she just got a mystical persona about herself. So This is New Year's Eve, and I was tired. I just remember being tired. I did not want to go down there. I was tired. I was busy, but this person act like they can't get your cab sometime. So I had to go down there. So then, but the crazy thing is, everybody's getting off that train, and I don't see her. So she's way at the end of the train and shit. Like she's way. Everybody else is like up here. Why is she way at the end of the fucking train and shit? And so I don't see her. But so I'm walking. I guess I'm walking down there, and then I seen that female. And that female. So I looked at that female because I was wondering why she was just standing there. And she just looked at me like why is he looking at me? But I looked at her like, why is she just standing there and shit? So I was wondering if she needed help or something. When she kind of did. And guess what? It keeps going back to the phone. So I remember her asking somebody for a phone because that female was waiting for a ride. And when I was looking at, she was waiting for a ride that wasn't there. So she asked the dude that was standing there to use his phone and shit. So it keep going back to the phone and the phone and the phone. So I think the universe is saying you got that communication problem. So in order for your stuff to get better, you got to start communicating. Bottom line. And so then like the very next day that female Lexi, that artist Lexi, was dead. He said, what is that? Because like let me do one more thing. No, but I see this all the time. This is what I'm trying to tell y'all. It's just hard because it's early in the morning for me, and I've been doing these charts all day. So that female at the train station, that was the connection though, because I knew it was a connection. And then like the very next day, that's when Lexi was dead. So I don't know. I don't know what the overall message is, but like people be holding on to shit. And I'll be trying to tell you, tomorrow's not guaranteed to you. So don't hold on. You gotta communicate. Because that's how people be like, oh, I wish I had he's gone or she's gone. If only, because you had time to talk and you chose not to. And then for a lot of psychological people, they carry that. And like when you be saying like old ladies and they be crazy and shit, but that's why, because of stuff like this. Not communicating, and now you can't communicate because the person's dead and shit. And so that they carry that. They carry that and they kind of go crazy. And they did mention that on your read. They were like, these people, sometimes they go crazy and shit. So that's why I said don't hold that shit in, talk. Because all this stuff is about broken phones not working and remote controls not working and all kind of crazy shit. But they all have one thing in common: is communicate. Because the remote control communicates with the TV to turn the channel and shit. So it's all about communicating and shit. And if that's broken, and then that person, the person leaves you or the person dies, and you go crazy. Because like I know for a fact, my twin flames, her card has always been Nine of Swords. Always. To this day, is Nine of Swords. And that's all about inner turmoil. The person can't sleep. They be having crazy dreams. They sitting up on their bed and shit. And don't think like what a person does, especially a female. Like y'all think like like the dude is supposed to, like we got our own issues and shit. Like I'm gonna tell anybody listening, we got our own issues. Like I don't have time because I got my own issues and shit. And I don't mean no disrespect to another person, but like don't nobody got time to be worrying about your shit. Like because I got my own shit to be worrying about. My own problems. Like I said, I'm on the phone. I tell you, like I keep it 100. I was on the phone, like I'm praying and shit, not crying, but I was on the phone praying and shit with people. Because sometimes I used to do that. Like in 2011, I used to do that a lot. And then I was shocked because the Word of Faith CC. I don't know if y'all ever heard of that, but they're like one of the biggest 1-800 prayer lines and shit. So they don't do that no more. That's how bad it's getting. They don't do that no more. They like, no, call regularly. They'll call. They used to be like 1-800. Like, so when I seen that, I was like, yo, what's wrong? Like, I thought it was something wrong with me. Because early in the morning, I thought I was seeing something wrong. And then, but they don't. They gave that shit up. And then another prayer website. It's called like the Prayer Works Network. They're literally banning people. Like you're literally banning them and shit. Like that. Because Prayer Works is a big ass network. So they own a lot of radio stations. They own a lot of and they connected to this place called whatever. I don't even want to bring it up. Even if I knew it, but I know it has heart in their name, but I forget what they call themselves. But I wouldn't really want to talk about it anyway. But they was always banning people like just for stupid reasons and shit. Cause I be saying, how you gonna ban somebody on a prayer line and shit? But that's how crazy it's getting. So that's what I was doing this morning and shit. And then I had kept the phone up here, and the phone was supposed to go downstairs, but it was early in the morning. I forgot. So I think what they're trying to tell you, basically the universe is trying to tell you, don't hold that shit in because you're gonna find yourself in a situation where you're gonna wish you had talked, but the person ain't alive no more. And that's why they showing me all these, train stations and shit in my personal life. Because that's a message that's supposed to be conveyed to you. So we're gonna finish up with the 2626. And remember the 26 is like the word of God. So 2626 is your life purpose and path are fully supported by the universe, and you do not need to worry about money or the material aspects of your life because as you serve your soul purpose, the universe provides all. So they kind of agree, like they kind of, I think now they're talking to me because they're kind of saying shit I said earlier. That's kind of sweet. But when I say they, like I say, the people that really run this universe. Now let me finish up with agent. So angel number 2626 also encourages you to find balance and stability in both your career and family lives. And that's been a big thing for the last few years for just astrologically speaking, the balance between the 4th house and the 10th house of family and career. Take the time to enjoy the company of friends and loved ones. Embrace the important people in your life. Yeah, so that now they're talking to you again. Embrace the important people in your life because I think you got to communicate. I really do. Just from looking at your chart. Embrace the important people in your life. Be in the present moment with them and love and cherish them. Seek out, because like I'll tell you right now, my twin, she had that. She had them communication buffs and all that. And like what people don't understand, I'm just gonna keep it 100. Is like you may be waiting on somebody to come and help you, but they got their own problems. And plus, if you've been betrayed by females and betrayed by females, you ain't trusting no female. That's just the way it go. And if you a female and you've been betrayed by men and hurt by men and beat up by men, you ain't gonna really want to open up no man too. But you still wish you could find the one that you trusted to open up to. But what I'm trying to tell anybody that's listening to this video is you gotta also do your part because you can't just wait because they may never come because they may be hurting too. So you gotta really. That's why they say you gotta ask these questions. What do you really want? In your 10th house. That whatever we said, the judgment card. That 20 degrees is in there. That's the judgment card. That's Pluto energy. So they're saying seek out like sold, but they said sold because this is about the soul. But that's 26. And when you talk about the soul, that's Pluto and Scorpio. So seek out likes or the 20 or the judgment card. Seek out like soul people and enjoy deeper, more open and authentic communications and connections that allow you to stretch your mind and nourish your spirit. So you gotta talk. You gotta share something. I don't know what. And I mean, because Scorpios ain't stupid though. And the reason why I'm saying Scorpio because that's her ascendant. No matter what house we're in, it's still talking about Scorpio. Cause like I said, but that's just how the world is. So like my twin, everything that I wouldn't put up with, she was and shit. But that. It's always gonna be that way. It's another dude out here named Soulless. He used to call himself Jesus Christ. Cheese. He used to call himself Jesus Christ, like cheese. And he used to say that. He said, anything you say you won't put up with, don't say it. He said, don't say that because you're going to be faced with it. He said, anything you say you won't do, he said, don't say that because you're going to be faced with it. All right. So now I still want to look at that number of 26. I know that that's a spiritual number. That's like I told you, 26. That's like the God voices, the word of God, or something like that. So that's like Pisces energy too. But I want to look it up on one more I can't guarantee he's going to have it, and if he doesn't, I got to do it another way. But this guy's name Bill Hydrate. He does Gematria numerology. Because I know if I saw that female, would I remember her? I wouldn't necessarily remember her, but and it was kind of funny because remember I told you Sean. Well, Sean's brother name was Greg, and Greg used to date this Dominican chick that used to work with us on a call center, and she was short too. Now it's kind of funny because she reminded me of the other female I'm talking about that had that phone that was sitting there and was waiting for that phone to ring, and they was both short and they was both like real yellow skin and stuff. So that's why we say all this stuff is soul tribe. Plus, I know I got a connection to the Dominican Republic, and that's what that female was. So all this stuff is coming back to mind for whatever reason. And because I know Michelle Knight is one of the best astrologers in the world, but she's from Britain. But she just said that she is like somebody from your past is gonna come back, and I was like, I don't know who she talking about. Like I was like, who's she talking about? And then just that memory coming back is the same thing. And I know it's like that Aquarius energy. I know it has something to do with that Aquarius energy too. And I remember, yeah, because the sun is in Aquarius. Cause so yeah, let me say this picture. Now what I'm gonna do, like let me see, can I do this whole chart? Because I don't feel like resizing this whole thing because it's late. It's like real early in the morning. But what I do want to do, I want to say this picture because if you look at it, it's the sun and Aquarius with Mercury. So it's a telephone plus it's Aquarius because just coming in my mind, and a lot of times when stuff just pops up in your mind, it's because somebody's trying to tell you something, not just about this person, but also about me at the same time. It's like whatever, because even her 10th house is Leo, and my sun sign is Leo. So if you look at this chart, you're gonna see Leo opposite the sun in Aquarius with Mercury, and Mercury is 26. So that's going on right now. This will be the current chart that's going on right now, the current transit chart or the current space chart. And I told you anything with 26 will always be twins and stuff. So I never thought about it. It's just funny how things work out. So that female that used to be with Sean's brother was from the Dominican Republic. And she was short just like that female I'm talking about that was sitting at that table with Sean. That's how this shit get creepy. It get real creepy. But when you be dealing with twin flames and soulmates, you be seeing a lot of people that look alike. And all this shit be deja vu and shit. And sometimes people are connected like family or relatives. Because I know a lot of times when I be doing a chart for somebody, all kind of stuff pops up. And a lot of times they have to do it directly with that person and stuff. Okay, so let me see that yes. So what I want to do is do Gematria. Oh, I know it. Yeah. I just want to look at that number 20, but I want to do 2626 Gematria. All right. Where's the ring? All right, right here. So this will be Bill Hydrick. And what just happened? Go back. I do this. All right, so he don't have it. He don't have 2626. So now I'm gonna do goodmatrix.org. 2626. And if you add up, it's 88 because there's 88 constellations in the stars above us. All right, so I'm just gonna do a couple of these. 2626. I love your final answer. We believe in strength in numbers. It says the merger, one who loves God. Oh yeah, and you know 8, because 8 goes back to the 8th house, which is Scorpio, because it says the merger, and Scorpio we already learned is about the 8th house about merging. Then he said Father, Baby, and New Jerusalem, and that goes back to what I was saying about Mount Zion, because Mount Zion is connected to New Jerusalem, and then the king. Uh-oh. This is gonna bug y'all out. Check this shit out. 2626. The new moon in Aquarius and the full moon in Leo. Now why is that? Because when you see this chart, that with the most current chart got the sun in Aquarius, but it is opposite Leo. So that shit is deep. And then he says cyber world at war. Now, why is that important? Only because it definitely been some funny shit with communications. That's all I can tell y'all. Because that might be something about to happen. That's all. I'm just letting y'all know that. And we did it. And plus, it was just a new moon Aquarius. All right. Picture. But he's saying a lot. They're saying a lot of stuff about God. I just don't feel like he copying it. But y'all gotta look it up if you it's thematrix.org 2626. But they definitely saying a lot of stuff about Yahweh, a lot of stuff about God, Jesus. Then it's 2626 says, "What are you going to do? Use force on me?" Then it says Gemini Lords, because I told you about Gemini and Aquarius. We already said that. Because just so you know, they have been saying, like astrologers have been saying that a lot. They've been saying a lot about Pisces, a lot about Aquarius, and like somebody coming into your life that's spiritual. Because it was just funny how that whole thing with the female entered my mind. But it did tie in with this read as far as the energy. That's all I can tell y'all. So that was deep. And then I never realized that she did look a lot like cause like I was always with them two dudes. Like Greg used to be the Sean's brother Greg used to be the head of the whole call center floor and shit. He was like the head manager and shit. And we used to like I always would be with them. And we used to always be in Atlantic City too. We used to always go to Atlantic City. But that female from the Dominican Republic that took a liking to Greg, she did look a lot like that female that was sitting at that. No, she took a liking to Greg, yeah. But she looked a lot like that female that was sitting at that table I'm talking about, that little whatever it was. With with Greg's brother Sean that night. And then Sean kept telling me to talk to her and I wouldn't do it. And then 2 years later I was working a job and she worked there. That same girl, the exact same female. And see, I'm older, so we always say girl, but they was these people was in their 20s and up. All right. So yeah, so as far as this person who requested this read, that's kind of like what they're telling her. You do have to communicate. Cause that's something Michelle Knight used to always say. She said if somebody is trying to get in contact with you, like their higher self or whatever, Like she always says it'll be. She says it's like a mystery, but it'll begin to unravel and shit. But that was deep how that shit. Just I mean shit that's been happening around here, and then how it just tapped in like that. That was crazy. All right. So all I want to do is put all this stuff together so I don't forget. And even if you look at this, when you see that, you're gonna keep seeing the number 88, like 188, 288. But there's 88 constellations, and that above us, and all that is connected with astrology. All right, so I'm gonna put this. But even like if you ever did twin flame, you'll see a lot of people that look like your twin and all kind of crazy shit. So I think that female I was ducking, kind of, I don't know what her purpose was, but I think like that's her energy, still trying to contact. Because I'm thinking about what Michelle Knight said, and Michelle Knight be on point. She'd be on point like crazy. I think I already said it, but I don't remember. But when she told me, she said if you're ready when you go out tomorrow, you'll find somebody. And I was like, nah, I'm going out real early, but I ain't gonna find it. I said it's too early. And then that female I did have a connect with, she came in the same door. Like she came in the door the same time I did. It was real early in the morning. Cause she used to, I mean, she used to work there, but she worked later or whatever. But I hadn't seen her in like years, and then all of a sudden she walked through that same door and shit. Let me see. All right, give me a second. Yes, that's crazy. So what this 26 Mercury is, if you look right next to it, it say because it's got Neptune and Pisces, and then it got Venus at 22, and 22 is like the twin flame. So I think I'll put those two pictures at the end of this video. All right. Alright, let me see. Now we only on one chart, but this is a twin flame. I'll still leave the two charts though. But this video itself, because this video itself is already at 3. No, it's almost 3. It's 2 hours 41. So it's probably gonna be this may be a 2-parter, I think. But anyway, I'm gonna at least try to do her video, do her side, her chart. So again, so now her sun sign is in the 11th house, which is Aquarius energy. And they go to 22 again. And then remember what I said about melanin 666. So they go to 18, 22 degrees, 18 minutes. But a Mercury retrograde. Now, again, Mercury retrograde is all about people not understanding you. Kira said 1 degree. 1 degree is the magician, and that's Mercury. That's Mercury energy too. So you got 2 Mercuries in your 11th house. So I'm gonna pause this one moment. All right. So like I said, so this will probably be this will probably be like a 2-part video, but you'll see this chart in both these charts in both the videos. So then we get to our 11th house, which is her sun sign, Virgo. But the 11th house is ruled by Aquarius. And again, like I said, you got Virgo, which could mean service. Healing, small children, small animals, daily duties. And because it is dealing with service, it could mean military. And you got the sun sign there. So if you notice, you're seeing it again, but now it's the sun. But The connotation is seven can be Cancer energy, because that's the Chariot card, number 7. But 7 degrees in 2, that would still be the mother or the high priestess. And then Virgo still represents the home. But now it's the sun. So you have that Aquarius connection to your sun sign, because that's the 11th house. So you still got an Aries connection. You still got Aquarius connection to it, because Aquarius rules your 11th house. And Virgo represents like the home of the 6th house. So like I said, you still see that whole. So you still see that whole military connection. Because your 6th house being Aries, ruled by Mars, all that could represent military. And then when you go back to your 4th house, you see Aquarius right there. And then you see it in the home again. The 6th house being Virgo, which represents the home or the 6th house. So the 1 degree was still Mercury energy, and that asteroid is Curious, which is like the nurturer, which is still a mother. And then you even see Mercury right there. 22 degrees, which is like the twin flame number. But then you see 22 degrees, 18 minutes, which is the moon again. So there's a Mercury retrograde represents being hard to understand, because Mercury is communication, but it's retrograde, which is hard to understand. So a person might be talking or trying to communicate, but people are having trouble understanding it, the communication. And plus, it's also showing you a motherly presence by number 7, because that's Cancer energy, but it could still be the mother. But then you see it again, Mercury by 1 degree, but that's still the nurturer, which is still like the motherly. And then you see it again, Mercury retrograde right there. And then you see 18 degrees, which is like the moon, which is another motherly energy. And Virgo is always a motherly energy. But for whatever reason, it's just giving you it's giving you a Mercury motherly presence in your 11th house. But it would still be hard to understand as far as here, where Mercury is. And remember, Mercury rules both Gemini and Virgo. And you have the Virgo right there. And that's your 11th house, like I said, ruled by Aquarius. Aquarius is in your 4th house, which again is your true north node. And true north node will always be your purpose, or why you like your purpose. Life purpose is true north node, 6 degrees, and that would be number 6 card is Gemini energy, which again is the twins. Right, so we're going to tell you what Mercury retrograde represents. See, now go to 88 again. See, they really playing with you though, but it's deep. Because it says a Mercury retrograde, it requires 88 days to make a complete pass around the sun. And that's your sun sign too. And it remains stationary for anywhere from a few days or a few hours. But that depends on the time of year. So the planet goes into retrograde 3 times a week for about 3 weeks each time. So they're kind of playing with the Trinity with you, because they keep going 3, and this is the mother, but it's also Mary. And I just got finished watching, like a couple of days ago, I watched a movie about Our Lady of Lourdes. where she revealed herself to a 14-year-old girl named Bernadette. But what makes this important is because that was the first time she revealed herself and associated herself with God, basically. But she didn't. She waited until she revealed herself 15 times at this location. She met with her 15 times, and then on the final time, the 15th time, and there goes your 555, because that's 15. And then she revealed herself. She said, "I am the Immaculate Conception," and that was shocking to the priest, because the priest was saying she can't say I am the Immaculate Conception. She can say I was born by the Immaculate Conception, but she can't say I am the Immaculate. Because then so that was the first time that they left that, and they're kind of doing it with your chart. That's all I'm trying to tell you. Because on your chart, it's been a whole lot of things that I already explained when I was telling you about Scorpio and stuff like that. And I was telling you about about Phil Valentine, not Phil Valentine, about Bobby Hemmett. So here on your chart, you have it as Mercury retrograde. And if you notice, both his chart and his chart is Mercury at 22 degrees. And Mercury rules Gemini and Virgo. And then you see his Gemini there, which is his sun sign. So we haven't done his chart too, but yours is highly, highly esoteric, where a lot of things are being shown. But if a person doesn't know those things, they won't see it. But if they really if they're knowledgeable of that, then they'll see it. So by her saying I am the Immaculate Conception, and she revealed that to a 14-year-old girl. But again, that would be, you know, because Virgo represents like young children. But again, the Virgin Mary was a young teenager when she became pregnant. So your chart has a lot, a lot of that, a lot of mysteries that was given primarily to the Catholic Church, because the Protestants don't deal with. They want to deal with a lot of that. Like you won't hear too many Protestants tell you how young Mary was. They'll just go, they'll go Mother Mary, and they don't really mess with Mary. Like they don't mess with Mother Mary too much at all, other than telling you, well, that was Jesus's mother's name, and But they don't tell you she was young, and they don't say stuff like the Catholics do. So you see the high priestess is hidden in your chart by the 2 degrees. That's her card number 2. And then she is connected with the moon. And then you got number 18. And then you got the 22, which is a twin flame number. And again, the Mercury retrograde. And it says Mercury has the highest frequency of retrograde, but stays in the cycle for the shortest length of time. But Mercury is all about mental, highly intelligent. Mercury rules over communication and thought for thinking things through. So yours has a lot of stuff was put into. Now I'm trying to tell you that, and because I'm saying all of this will show, because it's very complex, but it's very, very intelligent. And again, when you're dealing with the high priestess, because she basically runs everything of the tarot cards, is the high priestess. So it's a lot to that, but it's all showing you your connection to all of that. And then it's Mercury retrograde, because it won't, like I said, Mercury retrograde means somebody speaking but not being understood. But just because they're not being understood doesn't mean what they're saying. It doesn't. It's just not being understood, but it doesn't negate the importance of what's being said. So with a Mercury retrograde, messages might not be understood. Whispers may be underheard. Whispers may be overheard, and you will get into thought. And then to get into thought, you're going back to Egyptology. Once you get into thought, and that's what they're saying. Like with Mercury, they're dealing with thought. So that's a lot there. That's ravens. That's crows. That's the woman named Morrigan. Um, So they say it again, reviewing legal matters can become confusing or unclear. Public speaking can be less difficult, and those giving speeches can be easily misquoted. You may find it easier to provide self-expression through other forms rather than verbal or written. So with Virgo being the Virgin, and then Mercury retrograde making it very difficult to be understood. But even though it may be difficult to be understood, it doesn't negate how great what's being communicated is. So to understand that person is not going to be for everybody. This is for the real investigators, the real people that are going to dig deep to understand that. So when you read the book of Revelation, because I remember one time I was somewhere and a person, they wanted to show you how deep what's being said in Revelation chapter 1. He says, who was the revelator? And it went real, like the whole conversation went real deep. Was the revelator John, the apostle? Was it the person who was giving that message to John? Or was it the Holy Spirit who was a revelator? So you kind of see that on your chart in your 11th house. So sometimes something is so great it's not going to be understood. Just like they say with wine, like they say, oh, we're not going to touch this wine for years. And you say, well, what the hell do you got it here if we can't drink it? You know, so I don't know. I'm just trying to make that point to you. As far as what you probably know it anyway. Like even if you know it it's still there. Even if you know it inside it. Like I don't know what the word is inert. Let me see. Let me just look the word up. Ineptly, maybe. Ineptly. Yeah. So again, like somebody like Columbo, because that's what I mean by it. But most people will go, "Oh, that's not a good word." But no, it is for brilliance. That's what I'm trying to say. So maybe I should just say brilliance. Like that's like a Lieutenant Columbo, and it's something that's so brilliant that only a few people can tap into it, because everybody else is gonna be like, oh no, or they're gonna not want to deal with it and stuff like that. But they did that for a reason. They did that for because even the high priestess hides everything. You know, she's not gonna reveal what she knows to just anybody. And that's why I said, so when you see on your chart, when you see Aquarius or Uranus, like the Fool card would be Uranus, but the Fool card was actually brilliant because he put his trust in the High Priestess. Like, yeah, let me just tell you what they did with a Bernadette, because just to prove my point. All the people gathered on a certain day. It was on a Thursday, which is a very high spiritual day with the Divine Feminine. And they gathered somewhere, and they were supposed to see something. They were just waiting to see it. So when the Our Lady appeared, only Bernadette could see her. Nobody else could. So the people who didn't want this stuff spreading, they were saying Bernadette was an idiot. She was stupid. If you ever watch that, they say you're stupid. The Our Lady, the Mother Mary would never appear to a stupid person, and blah, blah. They would just tell it to her face, you're stupid. Everybody knows you're stupid. You fail all your Catholic court. Why would the Mother Mary appear to you? You're stupid. You fail in Catholic. They would say that to her, because I watched the movie just recently. But a lot of times, whenever certain people are coming to me, also a lot of information comes to me too, and the information is for those people or has something to do with regard to those people. Just like you heard me say about this white lady that went off on this other female. Like, you people shouldn't. She really talked down to her, but I don't know. So anyway, to make a long story short, the Mother Mary told Bernadette to go wash in the spring. But where she sent her, there was no spring at that moment. So Bernadette began washing in dirt. And when she did that, all those people were repugnated by it. And her family started to grab her and try to say, okay, that's enough. You're embarrassing us. And everybody left off of this place. So as they left, they all left. But as they left and walked away, they didn't want nothing to do with Bernadette anymore or anything she said. But as they were walking away, one man waited because he still believed in her, because he was in love with her. And that's why you see all this Venus and all this stuff around your chart in these areas. See, this was brilliantly put together on your chart. But nobody will ever see it because nobody's going to have the patience or what it takes to understand brilliance. Only certain people will. That's what I'm trying to tell you. That's why I use the word inept, because Lieutenant Columbo was inept, but he was brilliant. Brilliant. So that's what I'm trying to tell you. And some things you can see it, but you can't show it because that's the way it was. It's done that way for a reason. So especially in your 11th house, because see, Aquarius is considered the oddball, and that's Aquarius. But in both your houses, your 10th and your 11th, that's all I'm trying to tell you. So anyway, even though she put dirt all on her face and everybody thought she was crazy, her family was embarrassed by her. They grabbed her and pulled her up out of there. All the people began leaving because they were like, this, she's got to be crazy. And then all the renowned people said, we tried to tell you, common people. She's stupid. Everybody knows she's stupid. She's in a Catholic school, and all she does is fail. She's dumb. Why would Our Lady talk to her? But yes, she did talk to her, and then the water did come. But it wasn't until all the people walked away. So that's what I was trying to tell you. So even when I said the word inept, the word itself means whatever. But it's greater than that. It's greater than that. But it's inept because people are not going to accept it. But it's still great. It's greater than that. So that's why I had to say Lieutenant Colombo, or brilliance. I had to say brilliance. So that's what you have on your chart. It's so much greatness there, but most people are not going to be able to see it. And you are in the chart. But it's still there. And that doesn't mean it's less brilliant just because people can't see it. And that's why yours is a Mercury retrograde. Because it's about hiding mysteries right in front of you. That's why it gives you 22. See, what happened with the number 22 when they overthrew the real people of God? They said, "Oh, 22 is ugly. 22, that's the one number you don't want is 22." But that's the brilliance. So like that's the twin flame number. And then it's backed by what? Number 18, the 666, which is the melanin, which is the moon, which is the high priestess. Because that's what represents the high priestess is the moon. So I was just trying to show you that. And whether it's unwanted now or unlooked or considered whatever. Like I said, when she began to put the dirt on her face, they just left her. They thought she was crazy. And the people that were so smart were saying, "We told you she's a dumb, she failed cat. Why would she? The Mother Mary's not going to appear to somebody who failed the Catholic school." And they were just going off. They were talking crazy. They were calling her stupid and everything. But then the water did come. And that's why people go there now in France. They go to Lourdes now because of the miracles and stuff that happened with Bernadette. Even though everybody said she was stupid, told her to her face she was stupid, told her to her face, the Mother Mary would never appear to somebody like you. But she did. And in the miracle, where she told her to put the water on your face, so she did. She put the water on her face, but it was dirt at that moment. But she had to believe. So she started wiping her dirt all on her face. And then people said she's crazy. And that's when they began leaving that area. That's still sacred to this day. The same area people are going to now. And they've been going there since the 1800s. And they're still going there to this day. One of the most sacred places on this planet is that area. Because of all the miracles that happened. And all these people that got healed because of the water, and a baby that was dead, the mother would not accept that the baby was dead, so she ran to the sacred place, and they said, they were chasing her to try to get the baby from her, and she got there, and she put the baby, and the baby came back to life. That was another miracle. So that's what I'm seeing on your chart. And again, you would have to study it. Like if you don't, like you may already know it though, but if you don't, you would have to do some studying. Study like what I'm saying, Our Lady of Lourdes. Study that and stuff like that, because then you're gonna see what's on your chart. Because I can see it already. Just like when you look at his, all these Mars and Uranus retrograde and Pluto retrograde, and they're all pointing Venus. And they're all pointing to the same area. It's like, it's pure brilliance. So now you have Libra in the 12th house. So Libra is about relationships, balance, the scales of Mayat, serious relationships, covenants, agreements, karma, balance, law. But it's in the 12th house and you have nothing else there. But the 12th house is about endings, reckoning. So we'll end this as part 1, but we're gonna do Libra in the 12th house, and I hope I can do it with Astro Codex, because he's probably, that website is probably the best for researching astrological stuff. So we're gonna do Astro Codex. I'm gonna try writing it differently and see if it comes up. And what I may do, only because of time, I might start a part 2 with it. Because that Astro Codex, I don't think it wants to. I don't see it for Astro Codex. Because I really want somebody to do this who's really, really in the mind of Libra. Let me see. The 12th house in astrology, the karma of the subconscious. That's a good one. So, like I said, what I'm going to do is in this here, and then when we do part 2. But before I end it, I'm just gonna say, because this is a twin flame uh, inquiry. That's why the person requested it, to put the 2 charts together, which we will do. It's not just, we can do that too. We can do compatibility between the two, but there's much more than that. So that's why I was trying to do at least that. Because when we come back, when we do in part 2, I'm going to do his chart first. And then after we do his chart, we're going to be comparing the points. Is this a twin flame chart or not? But I definitely wanted the explanation of the 12th house with Libra in it, because there's a reason why. When I say they, I'm talking about the people that put all this brilliance together. Like, even when they did, they were very, because like I've never really seen anybody do that. It was sheer brilliance, because it's through the numerology and everything else that I was trying to show. But it kind of, like I said, it's exactly what she did. She made this little girl, this 14-year-old girl, take dirt and put it all on her face, knowing that would anger the people, shock the people, make everybody leave that sacred area. Because this really happened. This is the Our Lady miracles at you call it Our Lady of Lords. I'm looking at Wikipedia, and there was a movie. I think it's called Bernadette. So okay, so these miracles occurred in the vicinity of the Lourdes in France. And you can watch the movie for free. At least I did on YouTube. It's on YouTube. There was another spot. I didn't see it. I saw the movies first, and then later on, I saw that they were asking that you like buy it or rent it. But it's actually there. It's on YouTube. And that's when I saw it. I just read it. It's like on it. It was like buy or rent. I was like, buy or rent. I just watched it. Like, I watched the whole movie right there on YouTube, and then YouTube was like, buy or rent. I was like, I just watched it. What are you talking about? But yeah, so that's what I'm trying to tell you on your chart. The way they did it is just really, really sweet. But you have to fully understand. Like, you have to fully understand. Like, even when you look at his, all that, use it. Somebody will look at that and say, wow, that looks bizarre. But it's brilliance, So sometimes you meet a lot of people like that. You say, "Oh wow, this guy," but they're actually brilliant. Like that, they're from, like when you see crop circles. Like, even when you look at his chart, it's brilliance. Like, whoever did it is way higher than anything we have on this low level third dimensional planet. You know. I mean, I wouldn't know till I look more at his chart. I just looked at it because I tried to take it step by step. But you could see right in her 11th house. But like that's ruled by Aquarius. And if it's ruled the 11th house is ruled by Aquarius, but that's ruled by planet Uranus. And like both Uranus and Aquarius are called the eyeballs of the zodiac. A lot of astrologers call it that. Maybe not every single one of them, but a lot of them do. So that's what I'm trying to say. Getting back to this Our Lady of Lords, you could look that up. But either way, she had the girl put, she told her that, that's the spring. Wash your face in the spring. So Bernadette, she went where the lady told her, where Our Lady told her to go, and she was digging it. And then she started digging it more, looking for the spring, and she couldn't see it. But she was being obedient. And she started putting, washing it on her face, but it was still just dirt. And when the people saw her do that, they just said, "Oh, this is unbelievable." When they grabbed her and told her, "Stop putting dirt on your face," and stuff like that. And they pulled her out of there, and everybody started leaving. And the people that had a lot of, like, known for being highly intelligent, they said, "See, look at this. You could tell this. She's not speaking to her. No, Mother Mary wouldn't tell her to put dirt on her face." And they're like, so they all left. And as they were leaving, that's when the water started coming when they left. So she was right. She was right that there was a spring there, but at the moment it wasn't. It was just dirt. But the spring came after, because sometimes you just have to believe, So and all this is documented miracles. So it's not just me talking. You just gotta look sometimes. You gotta study. But if you don't study or read or don't look, of course you won't see it. And I've always said that anyway. Regardless, this is about faith. So anyway, the point being made is we're gonna have to wait to part 2 because I'm looking for an explanation of the 12th house, Libra in the 12th house, and there's not good ones, but I will have them, the ones that I did see in part 2. So you're just gonna have to wait. So that's it for part 1. I'm out. Prepare for part 2.